We are live now on YouTube. Let me just get the TikTok stream going as well. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I think everything's working. If you're hopping on right now, make sure you guys are double tapping the screen. I want to try to get some debates going today. We'll see what the selection is like if we even get any guest requests. But if not, there's probably a couple things I want to go over news-wise, and then also make a couple announcements for tomorrow's State of the Union speech. Okay. You're early? I am. We've been doing earlier lives recently because that way I'm not up until like 12 or 1 just on the live. What am I looking for here? But we'll see if it's a blessing or a curse to be on this early, because it's been slim pickings recently in terms of MAGA people who actually want to hop on and debate. So this may end up being more of a news live than a debate live, unless we actually get some people. But I should be here for like the next 3-ish hours, a little under the next 3 hours. What time will you be live till? Like 4:25-ish Eastern time. And then maybe after that again, maybe in the evening again, but I haven't decided yet. I might work on some videos instead. We will be live tomorrow, though, for pretty much the entire day. So I want to wait to say this until hopefully more people hop on. All these things, they should be common sense. They should be. You'd think so. In a country that made sense, these would be common sense things, and Trump never would have won any election ever. But unfortunately, common sense is not so common. It's a sad thing. Hey, how do you?
I don't think a guy who freed NBA YoungBoy is a threat to the country.
Is that genuinely your argument?
Yeah, because he freed YoungBoy, so how is he a threat?
What about like locking people up for expressing their opinion? That's pretty threatening, right, to like our free speech rights?
Nah.
Nah. As long as he frees NBA YoungBoy, he's good to do anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to share?
No.
Okay. There's a first time for everything. I've never heard this one. He freed NBA YoungBoy. Wow. He could have said like, did he actually bring A$AP Rocky back? I don't even know. I remember that was his first term. I don't know what the details on that were. What time will you be live till? Tomorrow or today? So, okay, there's more people hopping on today. We have Wayne, who's not in the... Is he in the guest requests? No, Wayne's not in the guest requests. How interesting is that? Today I'm going to be live, like I said, until like 4:25 p.m. So for the next little bit under the next 3 hours. But tomorrow I am going to be live starting 2 p.m. Eastern time all the way through the end of the State of the Union speech. So tomorrow's going to be a very long live. I'm guessing probably like 9 hours. And we're going to have some special guests on tomorrow. At around 3 p.m., I'm going to be having on Representative Susie Lee. And at 4 p.m., I'm going to be having on economist Lindsay Owens. We're going to be talking about a lot of the policy debates that are affecting the country right now, specifically as it pertains to like taxes and healthcare. And then when the actual State of the Union gets started, we're going to have on a bunch of radical liberals and leftists to do some commentary, including AJ Okra and some others. Dan might be hopping on, if anyone here watches Dan, and a few other people. So a lot going to be going on tomorrow. Make sure you guys are hopping on as soon as you can. We're starting the live tomorrow at 2 p.m. Again, we're going to have on special guest, economist, U.S. representative, maybe play some games while we're waiting. And then I think around 9 p.m., the State of the Union speech is going to start, and we'll be watching that live along with some friends of the stream. Again, we have someone named Nope, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something, something. This is probably a Chinese bot or a Russian bot, some kind of foreign interference, because these keyboard warriors are never in the guest requests and they always say the most outlandish stuff in the chat. I'm excited for that live tomorrow. Me too. But is this the real AJ Okra or is this one? Yeah, this is the fake one. Nah, I'm not. You're not in that live tomorrow, buddy. You're not the real one. Hey, how old are you?
Yo, I'm 26.
And do you disagree with any of the prompts on the screen right now?
Not really. I
Okay.
saw you were debating news.
Yeah, we're
And I
debating
had
these
a-
3 prompts on the screen. If you had something you
Oh.
think we disagree about, you can let me know.
My fault.
You're good.
My fault. I did, just because I know you're progressive.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about the Texas Senate race, but if you're not interested in that at all,
Yeah, if you want to hop on in like an hour or two, maybe I'm down to discuss it then. But right now, yeah, I'm trying to do some more debates with conservatives. But I'm down
For
to talk
sure,
about
right.
that later on. Yeah. Okay, who's this?
Hello.
Hey, how old are you?
21.
And do you disagree with any of the prompts on the screen right now?
Yeah, pretty much all of them.
You want to go in order then?
Yeah, we could talk about the first one.
Okay, so you don't think that Trump's a threat to the country? Why is that?
Because I think he's protecting our constitutional rights of voter ID. I think a lot of Democrats were kind of pushing for like immigrants not having
Wait,
voter ID,
I
which
just
is a
wanna
constitutional
clarify real
right.
quick. Sorry to
I
cut
think
you
it's
off.
our.
Just really quick. Are you
I think
trolling?
it's our. No, I think it's our Third Amendment right to be able to vote or something like that. I believe it's our Third Amendment. Am I wrong, or can you inform me if
I was
it's our
just-
third?
Are you sure you're not trolling right now? Like you think that Trump is protecting our constitutional rights?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, a president has the right to, under Article 2 of the Constitution, he has executive powers to enable laws to be pushed into
Well, he
place.
has the power to carry out the laws given to him by Congress within the confines of like
But
whatever
he's also
limits
allowed to
the
make
courts
new
put on
laws,
him.
and he's also allowed to make new laws, and
No,
he's
that's
been
Congress.
shot down. Yeah, but he's also been
No, I
shot
just
down
want to be
by
clear.
Congress.
The Article 2 does not give the president to create new laws. I don't know where you're getting that.
No, under Article 2, there's a right for a president.
Okay, if the president can create laws, then what is Congress for?
Congress it's for like checks and balances and making sure he's
You're
not abusing
trolling.
it.
You're trolling. You're not a real person. There's no way the
What do you
first
mean I'm
thing
not a real person?
the first thing you jump to when I ask you to prove that Trump's not a threat to this country is saying that he's protecting our constitutional rights. The guy who multiple courts have ruled is violating our constitutional rights at an unprecedented rate.
Which court ruled? The Supreme Court?
No, there are other courts as well. There are district courts, there are appellate courts. These are all federal courts, part of Article 3
If it's
of the
from New
Constitution.
York, it's in.
Say it again. You cut off.
From the,
Your connection's getting a little choppy.
York,
Can you
it's-
start over?
like,
Is that just on my end, or is
Can you
everyone
hear me?
hearing you? Okay, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
no, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, go ahead.
I forgot what we were talking about.
You were disagreeing with me somehow that he's violating our constitutional rights when multiple courts have ruled this. You said something about New York.
Yeah, New York. If it's from the New York court, it's fake,
What New York
and that's
court?
if it's from the New York
Like the
courts,
New York
it's-
State courts?
Yeah.
I'm talking
Or,
about
yeah.
federal courts, like Article 3 courts, district courts, and appellate courts, and then
And
obviously
they,
Supreme Court's the
and they
highest one.
said he's abusing. How is he abusing his power?
Well, they said he's violating constitutional rights. Like, for example,
Like the
William
14th
Young. William Young has ruled that Donald Trump and his administration intentionally violated
Oh, William
the First
Young.
Amendment, people's free speech rights.
Worst fucking district court ever is from William Young.
Which one is he?
He needs to be impeached.
I don't even know which one is he. William Young. Which district court is he?
From New York. He's from New York, and he needs to be impeached. for
He's
sure.
from New York.
He's a fraudster. I believe. Look up William. I think he's the black guy, right?
He's from Massachusetts, and he's a white guy. He's like old
Oh,
white
that's-
guy. Okay, you're trolling
close
then, right?
enough.
You're trolling. You're
No,
trolling.
no, I'm not.
Yeah, you
I don't,
are.
You're
You're
I'm
not a
not. I
real
swear.
person. You're not a real person.
Okay, so how is he violating the Constitution? If you're the 14th Amendment
I said
that has
first. I said First Amendment.
if you're talking about the Don Lemon situation, he violated the First
I'm not
Amendment
talking
rights
about the
too.
Don Lemon situation. That's not what Bill Young
What,
ruled on.
what exactly right of the Constitution did he violate?
The First
People-
Amendment by detaining people who are pro-Palestinian protesters.
Dude, that's pro-terrorism, bro, and we don't
Supporting Palestine with your free speech rights is terrorism?
the United Nations labeled Palestine Hamas a terrorist organization.
That
And you
has
shouldn't
nothing
really-
to do with anything I just said. And to
the
everyone saying
United-
next, this is unfortunately the only person that was in the guest request. So when MAGA sends its people, they're not sending their best. I don't even think this guy's
No,
MAGA.
this
I think
is
he's
I am the
trolling.
bad, but United
I
Nations
think you're
labeled
trolling.
Hamas a terrorist organization.
That's really
And-
cool. That has
and
nothing
it
to
is-
do with
it is
anything
against
I
the
just
law.
said. There's nothing
It is
to
against the law to protest for a terrorist organization.
cool.
which I'm not
Thanks
even
for
saying they
sharing.
are.
It's just not
I'm-
there's
I'm
no
not saying they
relation to what
are.
I'm talking about.
That's from what the United Nations
This has
decided.
nothing to do with what I'm saying.
I like Palestine, right?
That's
I think
cool.
it should be a two-state solution.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with people going out and protesting for a one-state solution of Palestine. That's
I
just not.
don't
it's
really
not in the
care
history
what you
book.
agree with. We have a First Amendment right, and his First Amendment, multiple people's First Amendment rights were violated as adjudicated by a court on a federal level. Until and unless that's overturned, that is a matter
Well,
of
if,
fact that Trump violated our First Amendment
If
rights.
the DHS,
Can you
which
just
is our
address that?
if the DHS labels you a threat to Homeland Security,
Can you just address
you're-
that?
you don't have a constitutional right. If
That's
the
not
DHS
how
labels-
constitutional rights work.
Yes, it is. If the
You think an
Department of
executive
Homeland
branch
Security-
agency can override the U.S. Constitution?
I think if it's a Homeland Security problem, I think it's a.
That's
I think
not
they
how the
have
Constitution
right.
works. The Constitution is supreme over all federal law and executive regulation.
But we've seen time and time again that just. I mean, if the Department of
Bro.
Homeland Security,
This is like
states
the
that you're
worst
a
troll
threat-
ever. Just stop.
I'm not trolling. Okay,
You
so
are trolling.
he's
You
not
are.
a
You
threat.
cannot be a real. I refuse to believe you're a real person. You're trolling.
How, dude? I'm just spitting facts.
Why? Okay. Anything else you'd like to share?
His immigration policies have been very effective. We've seen the least amount of sex traffic victims across our southern border. We've seen, our drug problem has been decreasing over rapidly. And
What
overall,
about
he's
all
just
the
been,
people whose constitutional rights were violated with their immigration policies? 'Cause
Well,
that's kind
I
of a
mean,
common
if you're-
theme that they're violating people's constitutional rights.
if you overstay your visa, you don't have due process laws. It's just that violates every
You
other.
do.
No, you do not. Bro.
Everyone dude, even undocumented people get due process.
No, what's the definition between legal immigration and illegal immigration?
Well, that's kind of a false distinction created by the right in many cases. I say
Well,
undocumented.
legal-
I say undocumented because a lot of these people are awaiting asylum courts to hear their case, or they have an overstayed visa or something.
Well, illegal immigration is when you broke the law 8 USC, and that means you did not properly enter the country, which is breaking improper entry.
Then why is the Trump administration labeling asylum seekers "quote unquote" illegal immigrants?
Because they have overstayed their visas, and two, they should not be allowed in this country
Asylum
because
seekers have overstayed their visas?
you know what asylum seekers mean, dude? It means
Do
you're
you?
fleeing from a country that you were extradited from. If you come here and you claim asylum, that means you are
You
too
were
afraid
extradited,
to be sent.
bro. What is this
You are-
troll? The troll
you are
has to be
banned from the
coherent.
country.
This is just confusing.
Well, I'm just saying that
You're saying asylum seekers overstayed their visa?
most of the times.
Why the fuck would they be seeking asylum if they have a visa?
Well, they overstay their visas.
So
and
then
that's
they go
what's the
back to a
problem.
port of entry at the southern border?
Yeah, well, if you didn't enter at a port of entry, which is our southern border, and if you didn't get a green card
Bro.
or a H-1B1 visa,
What are you doing?
you should be deported back to your
What
country.
are you doing? Oh, okay, and you're driving?
No, I'm not.
What? That guy wasn't real. That guy was trolling. There's no way that was a real human being. I mean, okay, it was a real human being, but like that, there's no way that guy was being honest about his beliefs. Hey, how old are you?
51.
And do you disagree with any of the prompts on the screen right now?
Oh, I disagree with all of them. But
All of
hey,
them.
Adam, let's do this. let's do a little palate cleanse from the last guest. Let's drink some water. Let's clear it out and let's start fresh.
We can.
and
I'm ready to
let's-
start fresh. Just pick a prompt on the screen.
Sure. So let's do Trump is a threat to this country.
Cool.
Let's start off with that.
Yeah. You want me to make the case for why I think he is, or did you want to open up?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I think he's violating our constitutional rights, and at the core of it, I think that Donald Trump is an authoritarian. That's my big problem with him.
Sure. So I think that your case to suggest that he's violating the Constitution, I think that being that the Senate is highly ineffective and very slow moving by design, I think that at least the last 5 administrations, regardless of what party they came from, have used executive orders in the same fashion that Donald Trump has.
No.
Unfortunately, that is the problem with swift action with our governance. Is that executive orders have been largely used for swift action that the Senate cannot provide. Now, with that argument made, I would argue that
That's just not
Congress is
true.
the
I don't want to get lost in the points here. That first thing is not true.
Mm-hmm.
Previous presidents have not used executive orders in the way that Donald Trump is using them. Multiple courts
So-
have ruled that Donald Trump's executive orders, such as EO 14161, blatantly violate the First Amendment, and these things have been ruled on even by conservative judges.
Okay, again, that particular executive order, which I believe is what, the flag burning? Is that the one?
That is the one
What is that one?
that says that anyone who comes into our country with quote-unquote hateful ideology or hostile attitudes can be targeted by immigration enforcement. And this was used in part to go after pro-Palestinian non-citizens who were on green cards or student visas. And a federal judge ruled this was a purposeful violation of their First Amendment rights to protest and express their opinions.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So the State Department, specifically the federal government, issues the visas. And with that issuance, it is at the privilege of the federal government that they are here. It's called a contract, right? And so part of that contract is not to disrupt, I believe, and maybe the wording could be a little bit wrong. I'm going to paraphrase here. Disrupt the goodwill and the morale of the people, and not to combat or be against the government, or to share the.
This is
the
all fine.
mindful-
It's just not illegal. Like
Yeah,
the First
but
Amendment
you-
protects everything you're saying right now.
right, but that's for citizens.
No, the First
right?
Amendment doesn't even say the word citizen in it.
So wait a minute. Do you think that? Let me just ask you. Do
Okay.
you think that a person here that's under contract with the federal government through a visa program, do you think that they have the absolute same rights as an American citizen?
It depends on if it's a right that's denoted for citizens or just in general. So not every single right, they couldn't necessarily vote or run for president, but they have First Amendment rights. They have due process rights. Those amendments in the Constitution do not mention the word citizen. And as I said earlier, a federal judge has ruled that the Trump administration intentionally violated people's First Amendment rights to chill their speech and create an environment of fear.
So
pretty
let me go
authoritarian.
back. Let me go back to the premise of my question. Right?
Okay.
Please just answer it. Are you
I
with
did.
the understanding?
I did answer it.
Okay, great. So are you under contract with the federal government?
Am I under contract with them?
Yeah.
It depends what you mean by that. I have to pay federal taxes. Sure. I have obligations
not
to
a
the federal
contract.
government, and they have obligations to me.
That's not a contract. What I'm saying here is that did you have to sign terms and conditions to be in America? Yes or no?
I was born here, so no.
Okay, right, exactly. So you, being a citizen, did not have to go into contract with
This
the
again
federal
has
government
nothing to do
in
with
the
what I
same
said,
way
though.
in the same way that a person that was granted privileged status by the federal government. So again, like this has been going on since
You're just wrong.
1952. The INA was established in 1952. Can we agree on that?
I don't know the exact year, but sure, I'm not going to dispute that. I'm just going to remind you that
Okay.
the First Amendment supersedes all federal law and executive branch regulations. I mean, this, again, was ruled by a judge.
Mhm.
So,
So do you have the same critique for President Obama and DACA, which was deemed unconstitutional?
was DACA deemed unconstitutional?
Yes, it was.
Hold on. Let's look this up. And we can discuss that, by the way, once you address this this court case.
Wait a minute. So my questions have to wait?
Well, the questions that were going to be asked in chronological order, right? So if I asked you a question first, I don't know why we just completely changed the topic to Obama instead of you addressing this case. Again, I have it pulled up. I'm happy to discuss DACA once you address my point. I'm not trying to, ignore your points, but we have to go in order here, to be fair. So a federal judge ruled, I can read you the conclusion from the court decision. This court finds as fact and concludes as matter of law that Secretaries Nome and Rubio and their several agents and subordinates acted in concert to misuse the sweeping powers of their respective offices to target non-citizen pro-Palestinians for deportation, primarily on account of their First Amendment protected political speech. They did so in order to strike fear into similarly situated non-citizen pro-Palestinian individuals, proactively curbing lawful pro-Palestinian speech and intentionally denying such individuals the freedom of speech that is their right. Moreover, the effects of these targeted deportation proceedings continues unconstitutionally to chill freedom of speech to this day.
So are you saying that a person with a visa privilege status given by the federal government has no obligation to fulfill the contract and the terms and conditions that it signed?
The contract can't violate the Constitution.
Okay, hold on a minute here. So
If you address that, we can talk about DACA.
Yeah, but I am. It
Okay.
specifically says that they cannot sow discourse against the government while they're here. Do you not
Say it again?
understand that? This contract that I'm referring to, for them to be granted their visa,
Yeah.
specifically says that they cannot sow discord against the government of the said country that they're giving privilege to come into. Like it's stated in
Whatever that language
So-
means, if it's actually there, you understand it can't conflict with the First Amendment, right? The First Amendment is the law of the land, the supreme law of the land that is over all federal statutes and as well as executive branch regulations.
So
I'm just going to keep
the
asking you
state-
that question if you
Yeah,
kinda
the
pivot
State
again.
Department. Hold on, the State Department, including the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, can remove an individual that has a visa status for any reason
No.
they seem. Yes.
The court just disagrees with you here.
Okay. So let me ask you, who is the one?
Why could he violate the
who-
First Amendment? You haven't answered
Does the
that.
judicial branch issue
Dude,
the visas?
I'm not
yes
going
or
to
no?
answer your questions if you don't answer mine. You haven't
I
answered this
am.
one simple question that I've been
Yes,
asking
I
you for
have.
5 minutes now.
Yes.
Any statute or regulation from an executive branch agency that you bring up is going to be superseded by the United States Constitution. You understand
Okay,
that,
so
right?
So then
Right.
why? Hold on.
Right.
So then why? Hold on. let me-
No. Just
I'm
do
gonna
you
address it
understand
right
that?
now,
It's a
Adam.
very simple yes or no question.
Adam, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
you do.
so
You
then-
understand that.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So then why was the case specifically to do with free speech rather than the statute in the contract that allows the State Department to remove the visa status? Can you
Because this was
explain
a
that?
free speech issue. This was
Hold
they
on,
were being
hold on a minute.
deported on the basis of expressing their opinion about Israel and Palestine. I don't know how many times I have to repeat this.
Again, that is an assumption.
No, that was
that you and
adjudicated
the
in the
court
court
made.
case.
No, he was.
This included green card
spreading-
holders as well, by the way. It wasn't just
He was
people on
spreading
visas. So you haven't even
discontent.
addressed the green card holder,
Hold on.
who's the main
He
case
was
subject
spreading.
here.
He was spreading discontent about the government of the
That's
country.
fully legal. What do you think? What country do you think we live in that you can't like shit talk the government?
Oh,
What and
okay.
before the people with
So
guns
you-
come
here-
for you?
Here's what I want.
That's
you to do,
authoritarianism
okay?
that you're describing.
Hold on, sir. Sir, hold on a minute here.
I've been
So what
holding on.
you're-
I'm waiting for an answer to my question. Still.
I already gave you an answer.
No, you just said, sir, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. If you don't understand that the First Amendment of the United States protects speech that is critical of the U.S. government, like you've fully lost the plot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay, so what you're saying is that people,
Someone
Let's-
asked what
let's just
court
say-
case. I believe it's
hold
called
on.
AAUP versus Rubio.
100,000 people come in here under a visa, and the government grants them their visa, and these 100,000 people get together and protest the federal government, spreading social discontent for the federal government. You think that's okay?
Okay or legal?
Both.
It's 100% legal. And whether
No,
or not
it's
it's
not.
okay depends on what the reasoning is. If they have legitimate criticisms of our government, then I'd probably be along there with them. If they have illegitimate criticisms, then
But
I'd say
that's
I don't like this so
irrelevant.
much.
That's irrelevant.
Irrelevant
You're
to
a
what?
citizen. You're a citizen, and you have rights.
Yes.
Okay, these individuals are under contract. Do you understand the difference? Yes or no?
It makes no bearing on whether they have First Amendment rights. So, no, I don't understand
Okay.
that there's a difference there
So-
because
so do I-
constitutional
do I-
rights apply equally in many cases.
So have you?
What is your understanding of what the U.S. Constitution even is? Do you think it only applies to U.S. citizens? You understand the U.S. Constitution exists as a constraint on the federal government, meaning this is a list of amendments and articles that lay out how the federal government ought to conduct itself. In some cases, it delineates specifically how it ought to conduct itself towards citizens, but it's not exclusively towards citizens. In fact, it can also apply to people on foreign soil because, again, the Constitution even lays out how to declare war, which has nothing to do with citizens. So
now you're just all over the place.
no,
Let
I'm
me
just
say
explaining what the
this.
United States
Hold on.
Constitution is
Are
because you
you-
seem to
hold
think
on.
that like the Immigration and Nationality Act, your reading of that is going to supersede the U.S. Constitution, which makes no sense.
So
And I'd love to
again,
get a response
you,
to anything I've
you
said ever.
think the judicial branch has the right to supersede who gets to stay and who gets to go? And
The
it's
judicial branch gets to
specifically
supersede
excuse me,
executive action
hey,
and
listen,
congressional
you're-
action if it's
you're-
unconstitutional.
Listen, stop running over the top of me.
I'm just
or
addressing
gonna
what
leave.
you're saying point by
Listen,
point. We don't have to go
li-
5
if-
points at a time, right?
Listen, it's really simple. The federal
I know.
government,
I agree.
specifically the executive branch, through the State Department and the Secretary of State, has the right to regulate the visa, who gets them,
the
who
absolute
doesn't
right.
get them, and who stays and who doesn't.
Not absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
No,
Yes.
not if it
and it's
violates the
all
U.S.
laid out- hold on.
Constitution or a court
Hold on,
order or
sir.
congressional statute. No.
Jesus Christ. Are you denying that the INA clearly lays out this contract that I'm talking to you about?
Yeah, the INA is what Rubio used for Mahmoud Khalil's deportation, but then it was ruled that this was unconstitutional. I don't know how
So
many
the
times I have to
INA
repeat this.
Wait a minute. So what you're saying here then is that the INA provisions for
Are not
the
absolute.
State Department, specifically
Are not
the executive
absolute.
branch, is
Yes.
what, unconstitutional? Is that what you're saying?
The specific statute that Rubio invoked, the way in which he invoked it was unconstitutional. You could argue there's maybe a constitutional use case for that statute, but the way that Rubio invoked it for Mahmoud Khalil was found to be unconstitutional. And even prior to Mahmoud Khalil and Trump coming in for a second term, Trump's sister, I believe her name is Mary Trump, who is a federal judge, also ruled that this was unconstitutional. This part of the INA, which says that
That's
someone can
irrelevant.
be deported.
It's irrelevant.
It's 1,000,000% relevant.
That's irrelevant
It's
information.
actually the most relevant thing, which is do the courts find
No,
this to be
it's not.
constitutional? Yes.
Okay,
Now I'm going to ask you, why do
how
you
is
think?
this a
No. You
danger
don't
to
get
this
to run away
country?
from your own argument. You said
I'm not-
earlier that the
no.
executive branch has absolute power. That's not true. The executive branch is constrained by Articles 1 and 3 and then all of our amendments as well. It can't violate the role of the courts, it can't violate the role of the Congress, and it can't violate any of our constitutional amendments. And you're saying, no, it's absolute either way. If there's a federal statute or a regulation or anything on the books that contradicts the Constitution wins 10 times out of 10. That's why we have a court system.
So again, you have not.
I'd love for you to address that at any point ever.
Yeah. Listen, just because you can talk fast doesn't make you right.
I can say it's
okay? Let's
slower.
make it very
It's the same
clear.
argument I've been making.
So are you going to let me speak, or are you just going to fucking
you can
ramble?
speak
'Cause
if you
can do
address
that
what
in
I
front of the
say and
fucking
don't
mirror.
change the subject.
Well, I can't speak. That's the problem.
You can speak if it's relevant.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, fascist. Okay, fascist.
Wow, is that
You
a
do
death
realize
threat? I
that
was
is
told
the
by MAGA that
definition-
calling someone a fascist is calling for their death. Wow.
No,
not
actually,
cool,
it's
bro.
it's the control of speech and thought.
Okay.
So again, fascist. Are you going to let me speak?
You've had nothing but opportunities to
Great.
speak. Just speak
So
about
are
something
you
relevant.
telling me? Hold on. Show me the case.
AAUP
in
versus
the-
Rubio.
No, listen to me. You see, this is the problem. You don't have effective listening skills.
No, I have very
Okay.
effective listening skills, so I can tell
Okay.
when you're trying to change the
Can I
subject,
fucking
and I have to
speak
bring you
now?
back to the subject.
Are you going to let me speak now, fascist?
The floor is yours.
Great. So, are you going to be able to show me where the court has deemed that the INA and the processes laid out in 1952, 70 years of law in the land of this fine country, are you going to show me a case that says that that law is unconstitutional?
I never made a claim that the entire Immigration and
No, you
Nationality
did.
Act is
You did,
unconstitutional.
sir. You're saying
I said that the
Marco
provision that Rubio invoked was unconstitutional. There's multiple
right.
provisions
So-
under the INA, right?
So what happened
Right.
to this gentleman? What happened to
Right.
this gentleman? What happened to
Right.
this gentleman?
You can acknowledge that.
What? I didn't even. You
You're
were talking
accusing
over me,
me.
so I didn't hear
You're
you.
strawmanning me and saying that I said the entire Immigration and Nationality Act is unconstitutional.
Nope, nope,
The
nope,
provision that
nope.
Rubio invoked to deport
That's
Mahmoud Khalil is
incorrect.
unconstitutional.
I asked you where the case was
AAUP versus
that
Rubio.
deemed the fact that the Secretary of State does not have the ability to regulate people in this
I
country
just told you the
under the
case.
visa contract. What case?
AAUP versus Rubio ruled that while Rubio and Noem tried to invoke the Immigration and Nationality Act to justify these deportations, they actually did so primarily on account of First Amendment protected speech, and this was unconstitutional. I don't know how many times I have to say this.
They don't need the Aliens and Enemies Act to do what
I
they
said
did.
Immigration Nationality Act, dude. INA. You've been bringing that up the whole time, haven't you?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't
And they
just
do
say,
have
"Oh,
the
I
right.
invoke this law, therefore I can do literally whatever I want to do because I just said I'm invoking this law." We have a constitution, we have courts for a reason. We don't live in an autocracy. I mean, we're moving more towards one, but we're supposed to have co-equal
That's
branches
your
of government.
take. So I'm 51. I don't know how old you are. I really
24.
don't care. But what I'm telling you here is that your perspective of the country and who's an enemy and who's not an enemy to this
Enemy?
country. Yeah. Do you know who the CFR is? Do you know what the CFR is?
CFRB, Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, or no, that's CRFB. No, what are you referring to?
I'm talking about the CFR, which is has to do with the financial banking system.
Okay, what does it have to do with literally anything we're discussing?
Well, they're an enemy to this country.
In banking and finance, CFR most commonly refers to
Yeah,
cost
Council
and
of Foreign
freight.
Relations. Council
Oh.
for Foreign Relations.
And you, what is your understanding of what that does?
Well, it does a lot of things.
You said it was about
It-
banking.
Yeah. Do you think the NGO, UN organizations that make
Wait, why are
global
you shifting
policy
to? I'm
in
gonna
the-
get
in the
whiplash from
ESG
how much you
governance?
just pivoted off the topic.
No, you want to talk about enemies of the state?
When
Let's
did I
talk
say anything
them.
about enemies?
Let's talk about
Wait,
them.
when did I
Do
say
you
anything
think-
about enemies?
Do you think that?
Wait, when did I say anything about enemy? You're the one who misheard Immigration and Nationality Act as Alien
Threat to
Enemies
this
Act.
country. Hold on. Threat to the country. You want to talk about threats to the country? Let's talk about
Yeah, we
them.
were. Now
The
you're pivoting.
CFR,
Why are you
the
pivoting?
WEF,
Why are
the
you pivoting?
WHO.
Why are you
Those
pivoting?
are all threats to this country.
Why are you pivoting?
Do you think that sovereignty is important?
And yeah, someone asked in the chat if you can start a kick fund. You can if you want, but why are you pivoting?
No, I'm just saying that if we were going to talk about the threats to this country, this is the topic. Trump is a threat to this country,
Right,
correct?
and then I gave you a specific
Okay.
example of that. Now you're running away from it.
Is he the only threat to this country?
Why are you pivoting?
No, I'm asking you.
You're pivoting. You're
Is he
changing
the only
subject.
threat to the country?
You're changing the subject.
Do you think that people that eat small children are threats to the country?
Why are you changing the subject?
No, I'm trying to get a bearing on your morality.
No, you're trying to
of
change the
what
subject.
you think is good and bad. No, not at all.
And
you
it
still
has
haven't
nothing to
answered
do
my
with
question
morality.
either.
I'm just saying descriptively he's a threat to this country as in our constitutional order, and you're refusing to
Well,
engage with the example of that I
So
brought
do
up.
you think? Do you think that
I gave you the
Biden
court
was
case.
a
You said,
threat?
"What's the
Hold
court
on.
case?" Said AAUP versus Rubio. I can pull up the PDF.
No,
for it.
and
I
that
have it
didn't answer my
linked
question,
here.
and you refused to answer my
You're
question.
just not engaging.
The Supreme Court,
You're not
the
engaging.
judicial branch has not said that the
You're not
INA is
engaging.
unconstitutional in any way, shape, or form.
You're not
Have they?
engaging.
No, I am. What case deems the INA unconstitutional?
I never said that the entire INA is unconstitutional, so I don't know what case you're asking.
Now,
me to show
now
you.
you're backpedaling.
No, everyone who's watching on YouTube, you can press the left arrow button or the J button to rewind. As I've been saying, Rubio invoked a specific subsection of the INA, which says that someone can be removed if they pose a threat to America's foreign policy interests. It's incredibly vague and allows for constitutional rights violations, which is why in AAUP versus Rubio, this was struck down by a judge. I've said that like
So
30
they
times
do
at
have
this
the
point.
right to remove individuals with visa status, don't they?
Depends on what the cause is. That's what was in the
But don't
case, as
they?
I've been
Yet?
saying.
So you've conceded. Perfect.
All
Okay,
I've said from day
moving
one
on.
is
Let's
if you
move on.
want to actually not run away from the topic, is that it's not an absolute power.
No,
Obviously,
we're talking
the
about
INA
the
gives them some
overall-
power. It's not absolute
on.
power.
Okay, so Trump
So can
has
you
done
justify
nothing.
why it's absolute? Because you made that claim now. If everyone wants to rewind and hear that, this guy said that the executive branch has absolute power. That's actually authoritarian and autocratic. So what is your understanding of the Constitution that leads you to believe that the executive branch has absolute power when
So
we have
you've
a
just
system of checks and
conceded
balances?
that the State Department, part of the executive branch, has the ability to remove individuals with a visa status, correct?
Depends why. That's been my argument
Okay.
since the beginning.
Again, sir. Just
You
concede.
don't have to do this.
Just concede. Just say yes.
I would concede if I was wrong about anything I've
No,
said.
no, no.
but-
Okay. So you're talking about a specific individual. I'm talking about the overall authority.
Yeah, and in doing that,
of
you're changing
the State
subject.
Department. No.
Yeah, 'cause I
You're
brought up AAUP versus
you're
Rubio.
hyperfixating on one individual.
I'm just sticking to the topic that I brought up, bro. This is getting tough to watch.
Is this one individual?
You don't have
Is
to
this
keep
one
doing this.
individual? Hold on. Is this one individual the country?
I'm just gonna keep asking you the same question. I don't know what you're even trying to do at this point.
Okay. Again, what I'm trying to do
Yeah.
is point out that you're using one individual as an
I gave
overarching
you one
statement.
example
Yeah, Trump.
of my first
Trump
claim.
is-
I don't know how
hold
much
on.
clearer I can get.
This is what we're discussing, and I'm going to repeat it to you. Trump is a threat to this country. Again, give me another example.
Why
Go
do you
ahead.
want to leave the first example? Why another?
Because we've already established that the federal government, specifically individuals on
Was
a
wrong,
visa,
right.
are in a contract that gives
Right.
the State Department the ability to
Federal
remove
government
these
was wrong.
individuals. Yep. Nope.
Then why'd they lose the court
Incorrect.
case?
I think because the lawyers for him made a case that it was because of his free speech, not the fact that
And
he
then
was
the judge
organizing.
agreed.
And hold on, he was a very liberal judge.
Really? Bill Young. Everyone, listen up. The guy appointed by Ronald Reagan is a liberal judge. This is news to me. You're getting desperate. This is what you have to go for? You're going to call him an activist liberal judge because you have nothing left to say? That's kind of boring. I expected better of you, dude. Come on. Ronald Reagan appointed a hyper liberal
Okay,
judge?
So
Genuinely?
listen.
Is that your argument?
Okay, you have hyper fixated because you've
You're running
practiced this in
away.
front of a mirror 18 times.
No, I
Give me
made
another
a claim
example.
and you asked
Give
me
me
for
another
evidence of my
example.
claim and I gave you
Give
one example
me
of my claim
another
being true.
example.
Yeah, once
Give
you
me another
concede on this
example.
one, we can move on to another example.
No, Mark, where is this gentleman right now?
There's multiple people involved in this case. Mahmoud Khalil is like
And
the
where
most
are they?
high-profile one.
Where are they?
He was released in accordance with this judge's ruling because the government was wrong to detain him. He's free.
So he's
Thankfully,
still
a
in
free
this
man
country?
walking. Yes,
Okay.
because he was a
and
green
it-
card holder. By the way, you never even engaged with that part. He
Mhm.
was a green card holder, lawful permanent resident. So,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
If you want to concede on this, I can give you my other examples of Trump being a threat to this country because there's a lot more other cases as well. But we're not moving off
So,
this until you engage with it
I-
honestly.
Okay. What? Let me ask you. What do you think the obligation to a United States citizen is?
Why are you changing the subject again?
No. I want you to
This
answer
is
that.
really embarrassing.
Why?
Why don't you just concede on this topic? Then we can move on. I'm happy to move on. You asked about DACA as well, and I looked it up, and apparently DACA was not struck down as unconstitutional. So it appears you were lying about that as well.
Well,
Unless there's
what-
something
what-
I'm missing,
hold
you
on,
can let me
hold
know.
on.
But
So-
we're going to
so-
first stick
so
on the
when-
subject we were talking about. Then next we can go to DACA like you wanted. Then after DACA, we can talk about a third topic. I just want to go in chronological order of what was brought up in this conversation. So let's first finish talking about the INA.
Yeah, the INA.
So
the
you
law of
agree
the
you were
land.
wrong about that, and a conservative judge ruled against you on this, not a liberal judge, unless you think Reagan appointed a liberal judge?
No, I think that the State Department, the executive branch, has the right to regulate.
You said they have absolute power.
I never said that.
You did. Everyone watching on YouTube can rewind and find that part.
People can do whatever the fuck they want. I don't
Yeah,
care.
They can find that you're lying, and you said that they had absolute power.
Again, yeah. When it comes to regulating the immigration, the visa, and everything that has to do with the INA is clearly in the executive branch.
Unless it violates the Constitution, right?
Okay, and
Right?
yeah, there's been some examples, the outliers, which is what you
Okay.
guys want to focus in on every
It's not
time.
that hard to
Other than
concede.
like no,
I'm not going to rub it in. If you concede, I'll say, you know what, thanks for being honest. We can move on to the next subject. But if you keep being slimy about it, then I'm going to hold
Okay,
you to
so-
account.
listen, we can look at Arbrega Garcia as
Different
an
case.
outlier. No, I understand that, but mistakes were made. And like, I'm not saying that mistakes aren't made.
Well, no,
okay?
they intentionally
wh-
violate
whether-
the U.S. Constitution many
hold on.
times. That's
Whether or
it's not a
not-
mistake.
whether or not they use the correct argument in court for their standing is a mistake. Okay.
No, you're
Um,
downplaying
I
it. What if they are
no, no,
engaging
no.
in bad faith
I
with the
believe.
courts to
Hold
violate
on.
our constitutional rights?
I believe that organizing in the fashion that this particular gentleman is a violation of his terms to the contract for getting and having status in America. Okay, it's not necessarily what he says; it's his actions and the overarching effects
If
that it
your
has
reading of that
on American
contract,
society.
if your reading of that contract contradicts with the First Amendment, then your reading would be struck down by a court. Because, like I said, I've said this a million times, the Constitution
the ruling-
supersedes all federal statutes and executive branch regulations. That's why we
Yeah,
have a
but hold-
Constitution.
Okay, so again, I'm going to ask you. The narrow scope of this particular case has to do with free speech. It does not have to
Right,
do
which is why I said
with the
Trump's a threat. He's an
legality of the
authoritarian. He's cracking down
INA.
on free speech.
Okay, hold on. It does not have to do with the legality of the INA, correct?
The entire
at
INA?
least- the provisions that allows the State Department to remove individuals based on the contract? Yes.
It has to do with a misuse of the INA, an unconstitutional application of the federal statute.
And so what was the misuse? Let's dig into it.
I believe he used, I can pull it up here, Section 237A 4C, which allows the deportation of a non-citizen if the Secretary of State has reasonable grounds to believe their presence would have, quote, serious adverse foreign policy consequences. And the judge ruled that this is pretty nebulous and allows for blatant violation of our constitutional rights based on political viewpoints, which is an unconstitutional application of the law. So again, this is an example of a subsection of the INA being invoked to violate someone's constitutional rights. And the judge saying this is obviously not allowed. I don't know why you want to keep going in circles on this.
Yeah, so what they're saying is the judicial branch is going to decide the foreign relations of America.
No,
Yeah,
I don't know if you heard what I said. Did my mic cut out? When
I listened. I listened to every word come out of your mouth.
Can you
very
restate my
carefully.
argument then?
Yeah, that the Secretary of State has the ability to remove an individual who is threatening or could be threatening the position of the foreign policy of the United States of America.
And then what did you just tell me the rest of my argument? Can you finish? What did I
And
say
and
after
that that the judge deemed that was a very ambiguous statement that didn't have any specificity in it, and that in this particular case it didn't rise to the level of the offense in his opinion, and so they ruled against
It's
it.
not about rising to the level of offense. That this application here was intentionally used to violate people's First Amendment rights. The thing you keep glossing over when you call it a mistake is that this judge ruled that they intentionally silenced people's free speech to create an atmosphere of fear, to create a chilling effect. So it's not a mistake when you intentionally violate free speech rights, the First Amendment, to scare people and silence them. That's not a mistake. That's authoritarianism, which is why, hearkening back to my first bullet point here, Trump is a threat to this country. Now, I have other examples of Trump being a threat to this country. This is my primary one, in that one of our most fundamental rights of free speech is being intentionally violated. Not by accident, not just it just so happens to violate the First Amendment, but intentionally. They're trying to scare people. So,
And what court decided this? Was it the Supreme Court?
this was a district court under federal Judge Bill Young.
And what was the case?
AAUP versus Rubio.
And is it under appeal?
I believe it is.
Exactly.
What do you mean exactly? What
Exactly.
do you think an appeal is?
So, well, it's a continuation, and so what you're doing is using a case that has.
So what is the settled case law on this right now?
Well, I would argue that if it goes through to the appellate court
Yeah.
and they don't strike it down, and nobody.
Well, now you're getting into
petitions
hypothetical
the Supreme
territory.
Court. No, not at all.
Yeah, you are.
No,
Unless and until it's overturned, that is the law of the land. That's why Mahmoud Khalil was released, right? This was found to be unconstitutional. Now, if you want to try to read the future like That's So Raven and say, oh, I see in 5 months appellate court will overturn this obvious violation of free speech rights, you can write fan fictions about that. But until and unless that happens, this district court decision is what stands. You're assuming the appeal would win when this is an extremely
Well,
weak case for the government.
My personal take, right, for entertainment purposes only, of course, is the fact that when it comes to the panel for review, I think that some critical assumptions were made in this particular case in reference to the reasoning behind the administration's
read this case?
removal of status. And I think that this case will be overturned. So can we move on now? And by the way, I'm
Once
going
you
to look
concede.
up this case. I'm going to look up this case.
Please do. It's a
and I'm
very
gonna
interesting
do some
PDF.
research.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to dig in because
Please.
I really think that it's really strange that you hyper focus on this case, right? This is
It
an
makes
outlier
complete
to the
sense
bigger
why I
picture.
focus on this case. It's a violation of one of our most
Right.
fundamental rights as
So let me
Americans.
guess. Let me guess. You're one of those guys that goes around and saying, if they can do this to one, they can do this to everyone, and you're next. Is that you?
I
Is
just
that what
don't
you
like
do?
when the federal government
No,
intentionally
answer the
violates the
question.
Constitution.
Answer the question. Is that you? Or do you say those things?
I don't fall into whatever box you're trying to create right now, so I'm gonna say
No,
no.
I just want to know. Is that what you believe? That if
Is
they can
what
do
what
it
I
to
believe?
him, they can do it to you, right?
Say it again. Is what would I believe?
Yeah, your position. Are you one of
Uh-huh.
those guys that goes around saying that if they can do this to him, then they can do this to you, and you can be next? Are you that guy?
I don't go around saying that. I happen to think that's true.
Okay, so
I'm
you're
not
a
some kind of
citizen.
missionary that is
You're
part
a
of some group.
citizen, right? You don't have any contract with the federal government, right?
That has
So how
nothing to
could
do
this
with
happen to you?
constitutional rights. You don't have to have a contract with the federal government to get constitutional
Does
protections.
the state? Does the
Do you
start-
acknowledge
does
that?
Does the
Do you
State
acknowledge
Department
that?
have acknowledge what?
That you don't have to have a contract with the federal government to get constitutional rights?
That is correct, but
Okay, so
these
then why are you
individuals
even
don't
bringing
have
that up?
full constitutional
Well,
rights.
what's even the point of bringing that up then?
These people, are you under contract?
You have to answer, Mike. Well, what's the point of bringing up a contract that has no bearing on whether they have a First Amendment right?
Well, they're here with a privileged status. Do you know what that means?
It doesn't matter.
It
doesn't ma-
does.
Dude, even undocumented immigrants have some constitutional rights. I don't know what
Some.
argument you're making here.
Some, yes, some.
Yeah, any right that does not
Mhm.
specifically denote citizenship, like free speech, like due process.
Okay, so again, you're skirting the question because
It's the
you know
same
the
topic.
implications.
We've been going in circles. I don't know why you're so stubborn on this when even the entire chat is starting to feel embarrassed for you. I'm more than happy to move on to the next subject if you can
You-
just
you
say, you
haven't-
know what, that in this
No, no, no.
regard, you're not wrong to say that Trump is a threat to our First Amendment rights when a court has ruled he's violating First Amendment rights. And maybe
So,
it'll be overturned on appeal, but as of now, we have no
Mm-hmm.
reason to think that, especially because it's a very strong case against the Trump administration.
So what law can the federal government use
Oh,
against
God.
you, a
Oh,
citizen?
God.
Tell
You're
me.
not even addressing what I'm saying.
No, I am.
No.
I am exactly. What law in federal
This
code
is really hard
could
to
the
watch,
federal
dude. You don't
government
have
kick
to
you
do
out of
this
this
to yourself.
country? No, I want you to answer that. What law?
No, how
can the
about you
federal
answer what I
government
said?
use? Jesus Christ, dude. You're
Yeah,
like
he
talking
can't
to
save
a
you.
fucking brick wall.
He can't save you.
Again, answer my question.
How about no? How about you address the actual subject at hand instead of trying to pivot, or just concede? Then we can actually
Hey,
pivot.
Listen, you talked over me. Okay, I was in the middle of asking you a question,
Which
and
is a
now you're
pivot.
demanding that I answer your question.
Which is a pivot.
What is your fucking question, dude?
I just want you to engage with the subject at hand before we change the subject, right? I'm happy to
Yeah.
talk about DACA
So-
or whatever else you want to talk about
Yeah.
once
So
we
let me
finish
just-
talking about this.
Sure. The federal government consistently violates people's rights. That's why people file 242 deprivation of rights under the color of law every fucking day in this country. Okay, that happened before Donald Trump, and
Intentionally,
it'll happen after Donald Trump. Okay, the federal government makes mistakes all the time.
This is not a
but
mistake.
You
This was
want to
intentional.
hyperfixate on this particular administration. You don't think that the Biden administration violated people's
gonna
rights
address that again.
when they unlawfully
You are
surveilled
correct
the
that the
PTA
federal.
parents?
Okay, cool. Let me respond.
That's a
now.
Fourth Amendment.
You are
rights
correct
violation.
that there are cool. There are many
Yep, right.
instances where courts
Sure.
will say that the executive branch has violated the Constitution. This is unique, though, under Donald Trump. Like many cases under Trump are unique in that the federal government intentionally violated the Constitution. It's one thing to think you have the statutory authority to do something. It's another to say we want to scare people into not protesting. We want to have a chilling effect.
So now that we established that the federal
So
government
this was not a mistake.
devoid,
So you're
hold on.
wrong.
Devoid
You're
of the
wrong.
Trump administration
You're
violates
wrong.
people's rights all the time.
You're
correct?
wrong.
Yes.
You're wrong.
Just
This
answer
was
the
not a
question, yes?
mistake. This was intentional.
Okay. And how do you prove that?
The judge said here they had internal State Department memos first to try to conjure up criminal charges. They couldn't find any criminal charges. Then they just invoked the statute of the INA and said, oh, this guy, because he opposes Israel, him simply voicing that opinion somehow threatens our standing on the world stage. And you had, again, they referenced Noam and Rubio in carrying out this action. They referenced Executive Order 14161, which I can read the text of, which specifically denotes, let me do Control F, hateful ideology. Yeah, so it says anyone who espouses hateful ideology, or what was the other terminology that was used here? Hateful ideology, or what else is this? Hold on. Hostile attitudes. I'm sure you can agree that anyone facing government punishment or action because of hateful ideology, basically hate speech, which I thought conservatives hated the idea of legally enforced hate speech, or hostile attitudes, those are blatantly on their face protected by the First Amendment. And to say otherwise is bad faith. No one with more than one functioning brain cell would argue that the First Amendment does not protect hateful ideology and hostile attitudes. Right?
So,
do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, fantastic. So this was carried out in accordance with EO 14161, which violated the First Amendment.
Great. Mistakes were made.
No, that's
Can
intentional.
we move on now?
What do you mean
Can we
mistakes
move
were
on now?
made?
Yeah.
What are you on the payroll of the Trump administration that you're so desperate to defend them from accusations of bad faith? Oh, it must have been a mistake that they violated the First Amendment on purpose.
Yeah, the federal
How is it a
government.
mistake?
Okay, hold on. The federal government, devoid of the Trump administration, makes mistakes all the time. There's
Yep.
been many
True,
lawsuits for
but they don't
people's,
very often
okay.
intentionally violate constitutional rights, which is why the Trump
Really?
administration is a unique threat.
Hold on. Wait a minute. No, the Department of Truth that the Biden administration set up
You're not
was
pivoting.
deemed unconstitutional. No, not at all. So I want you to take the same viewpoint that you just espoused for the better part of like 20 minutes now.
That
I
you
want
still have
you
yet
now,
to engage with, honestly. You're
Again,
saying it's a
sir,
mistake,
sir,
it's not a mistake.
I want your skepticism of the federal government to go beyond any Trump administration, to look at the federal
My
government.
skepticism is
and
going
say,
to be in
no.
accordance with the evidence given of intent.
Okay,
And when we
but
have
why are you
someone,
hyper-
let me just finish. My
No, I wasn't
skepticism
done
of the
speaking.
intent as to whether
I
it's a
wasn't done
mistake,
speaking.
as to whether it's
Sir.
a mistake or someone intentionally violating our Constitution, is going to be in accordance with what we have in terms of stated intent. And when someone in 2022 says we should terminate the Constitution, then all of their further constitutional transgressions should be analyzed within that lens of, oh, this is someone who has said explicitly, I want to terminate the Constitution. So when they then act in accordance with that statement and violate constitutional rights, and you try to call it a mistake, that's you being either dishonest or purposefully deluding yourself.
Okay, so now that you went on that little, do you feel better getting that out?
I feel fantastic. I'll feel
Okay.
even better if you address it.
Okay, perfect. So the one thing that you didn't discuss when you referenced those words being spoken is the fact that the President of the United States has information that nor you or I have, and that he was stating that there was foreign interference in an election to determine the next president of this country. And under those
Oh my God, you hurt my neck
circumstances,
with how hard and fast you pivoted. Holy shit. Can we stay
is
on
that
the
not
topic?
the context? Is that not the context of what
I
you
can
were
remind
referring
you
to?
what I said, which is that you
Again,
have
sir.
to prove it's just a mistake
sir.
rather than an intentional
Again, sir.
violation of the Constitution
sir.
when Donald Trump
You-
has said he wants to
you-
terminate the Constitution.
Your TDS.
You have
for the
TDS.
Trump
You have Trump
administration.
devotion syndrome.
No,
It's been
not
on
at
full
all, sir.
display. Trump devotion
Okay,
syndrome is afflicting this
again,
country.
Again, sir, you're not engaging in how the federal government.
You're not engaging with anything I'm saying, period.
Hold on. Listen. You will not admit that the federal government, devoid of any Trump administration, has violated people's rights. You want to hyper focus only on the
You're not
Trump
understanding my
administration
point.
and no other administration.
You're not
Do you think
understanding
that
my
the-
point. I'll repeat
the
my point if you
Department
don't
of Truth
understand it. You don't have to strawman
Was
me.
the Department of Truth
don't have to
deemed
strawman me.
unconstitutional?
You don't have to straw man my position.
No. Answer my question.
How about I clarify my position, because your question is based on a false
No.
premise.
You're
Your
not-
question is based on a
you-
false
you
premise, which is
don't
a straw man
answer
of my argument.
questions.
If your
You
question
don't answer questions.
If your
You don't
question is
answer
based on a
questions.
straw man of
You don't
my
answer
argument,
questions.
if your question's based on a
You
straw man
don't
of my
answer
argument, I'm not
questions.
going to engage with it and validate your straw man.
You don't answer questions.
Your question is built on a straw man of my argument,
don't
so
you
why would I
answer
validate your
questions?
straw man of my argument?
Again, why don't you answer questions?
Because your question is built off a misrepresentation of my argument. So why would
Okay,
I validate your
so
misrepresentation by engaging with the bad faith
was
question?
there a Department
I'm
of
going
Truth?
to ask you
Was there-
again. I'm going
What-
to ask you again.
Was there
Is
a
there
Department
a
of Truth,
difference?
yes or no?
Is there a difference between
Was
the federal
there
government?
A Department of Truth?
Is there a
do
difference
this
between
all
the
day
federal
long.
government accidentally violating the Constitution and intentionally doing so?
Okay, was there a Department of Truth? Yes or no?
I'll answer your question once you engage with the subject. We open the conversation
No.
instead of trying to
Okay,
change the
you know
topic
what?
and misrepresent my opinion.
The fact that you cannot answer questions, I'm gonna take as a win. You've conceded this conversation.
When did you stop beating your wife? Answer that question. You understand that's a silly question because it's based off a premise that's not even true. So if you ask me a question based off a misrepresentation of my argument and I engage with that question, I'm implicitly validating your misrepresentation of my argument. So I'm happy to engage with follow-up questions if you accurately address what I am arguing instead of debating this imaginary person in your head right now.
All I wanted is your answer to my question.
When did you stop beating your wife? Silly question, right?
Was there a Department of Truth in the Biden administration? Yes or no?
I'm just not going to engage with bad faith questions until you address what I'm saying. It's
Okay,
very straightforward.
you can have your opinion about my question, but I would appreciate an
Your
answer.
question is based off a misrepresentation of my argument. You would have to prove
What-
to me that if
Sir.
Joe Biden did something unconstitutional, like with the student loan forgiveness, which he did, that he intended to violate the Constitution,
Yeah.
like Trump did. That's what I'm arguing,
so-
and you
so
heard me say
federal
that.
court-
So if you
Hold
can
on.
find me an example of Joe Biden saying, like Donald Trump said, I want to terminate the United States Constitution, unless you can find that, there's no comparison here. I'm sorry to tell you.
Okay, again, I've already addressed that question.
you haven't.
With the yes, I have, but
Address
you
it
keep
again,
on
then.
interrupting. Yeah, I said in the context that the president of the United States has had and still does have the opinion that foreign governments
Not addressing
played
what I
a
said.
role in that particular activity in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, it was an emergency situation that he could have.
You're referring to the tweet
legal-
specifically where he says, in light of foreign interference in our election, we have to terminate the Constitution, right?
It would be unprecedented times.
But I just want to clarify, are you specifically referring to the tweet where he says, this is why I want to do it, which you're right, he does reference the 2020 election?
Well, that is context, is it not?
It is, and I'd like to talk about the context, which
Great.
is that Trump knows he lost the 2020 election, so you're proving
But
my
we
point
can't talk
that
about-
if Donald
I
Trump
Listen.
is referencing an election that he knows he lost to justify terminating the Constitution, that bolsters my argument that he's acting in bad faith.
So here's
glad
what
you
I'm
brought
not
that
going
up.
to do. Here's what I'm not going to do on this app is talk about that, because every time I do, I get my account taken away. So I'm not going to do that.
Well,
if
you
you
just
want to
brought it
talk
up.
about, no, I understand that. You want to talk about cookies recipe in the bakery. I have no problems doing that, but I'm not going to be using the words that you just used.
Okay, we can use like pseudonyms or like fake words to describe it. Instead of election, we'll say voting day. And instead of foreign interference to steal the election, we'll say Hugo Chavez Dominion voting. Whatever you want to say. I'm just going to remind you. You're saying, well, listen, Trump
I'm not
may have
gonna
said
say
I want
any
to
of those
terminate the
things.
Constitution, but he did so because of these extreme circumstances of foreign interference in our elections to change the results.
Yeah.
But what you're forgetting is that Trump knows he lost 2020. He's admitted he lost 2020
Prove it.
behind the scenes.
Prove it.
Sure.
Prove it.
So you have
Prove
in
it with
October.
evidence.
I have multiple quotes here if you'd like to hear them. And it's actually my most recent TikTok. A lot of MAGA people don't know this, that Trump is lying to your face when he says, I won the 2020 election. He knows he lost. So
Yeah,
first of all,
I
when
want
Mike Pence,
evidence. I
when
don't
Mike
want
Pence,
hearsay.
when Mike Pence told him, you didn't win the election and I'm not going to help you do a fake elector scheme, Donald Trump said, and I quote, "You're too honest." At other moments, he admitted to people like, what's her name?
That's not an
Alyssa
admission of anything.
Farrah Griffin and Cassidy Hutchinson. He admitted
All
to them
hearsay.
behind the scenes
All
after the
hearsay.
2020 election that he
All
knows he
hearsay.
lost. You're
All
talking
hearsay.
over me because
No-
I have multiple
no
examples.
evidence,
I have
sir.
multiple
No
examples of Trump
evidence.
admitting he lost, and you're trying to talk
Okay.
over me so I can't read them
So
out
you
loud.
have hearsay at best. Okay.
No, we actually
Continue
have
on.
also Steve Bannon on tape before the election took place. This is Trump's right-hand man, and
That's
I'm gonna
hearsay as well.
I'm gonna read to you a quote. No, this is a recording I
That's
can play for
hearsay.
you. It's a recording I can play for you of Steve Bannon, and he's gonna talk over me. Watch.
Again,
He's gonna
hearsay.
talk over me. Steve
No,
Bannon
it's
said,
hearsay.
and I quote, word for word from Steve Bannon, more of our people vote early that count. Theirs vote in the mail, and so they're gonna have a natural disadvantage, and Trump's gonna take advantage of it. That's our strategy. He's gonna declare himself the winner. Doesn't mean he's actually the winner. That's from October
Again,
before the election
that is
took
not
place.
evidence.
That's
That
exactly
is
what
not
Trump
evidence.
did. It is evidence.
is not-
It was in the indictments
Do you
against
not
Trump,
know
so
what
it is evidence.
is? This guy doesn't know what evidence
It was
is.
evidence in the
That's so
Jack Smith
funny.
indictment, so it's actually definitionally evidence.
Exactly. So listen,
It's legal evidence. It was in an indictment.
host. Do you know the inner workings of my mind?
I would never even try to figure that out because you're a very confusing person, so no.
Okay, so how do you know the inner workings of Trump's mind?
Well, if he states his intent, then we have a lot more of an
Okay,
insight into that,
then
right?
give me a quote from Donald Trump himself.
I did.
That's showing intent.
He said,
Go ahead.
"You're too honest." When Mike Pence said, "You did not win the election, and
What
I'm
is
not
it?
going to help you with a fake elector scheme."
Okay, does that mean that he said that he knew that he lost?
If you take into account
No.
with other quotes I gave you, which you didn't want to hear,
No.
yeah,
No.
we
no,
have to look
sir,
at the
you have
totality of
nothing.
evidence, right?
You have nothing. You have
Totality of
nothing.
evidence. I actually just gave you
Uh,
3 quotes.
So
I have
if a
another
candidate-
one. I can give you another quote from Trump. Behind the scenes, he called
This
Sidney
is so
Powell's
desperate.
theories
This
crazy.
guy is so
I'm
fucking
quoting.
desperate.
Behind the scenes, Donald Trump said that Sidney Powell's election fraud theories were, quote, crazy and that they were like, quote, Star Trek because they were so outlandish. But then he used those same theories to draft an executive order to seize voting machines, which he now wants to invoke for the midterms. So that's now 4 pieces of evidence I've given you. The Steve Bannon quote, 3 Donald Trump quotes, and you don't want to address them.
Okay, so do you know what hearsay is?
He's not going to address it. Okay.
No. I'm asking you. What is the definition of hearsay?
You can tell us.
Well, it's the sharing of information that you've heard from a primary source, right? But if you weren't there to witness it, it's hearsay. Do you understand what that means?
Where does anything about primary source involved in the definition of hearsay?
You haven't given me a primary source of
Information.
evidence.
I
the
literally
whole
gave
fucking
you
point.
4 primary
No.
sources of evidence. You
No,
just didn't want to
sir.
hear them.
No, sir. So let me. So look, I could say very easily that
Donald Trump
you
is
run-
not a primary
Hold on,
source on
wait a
Donald
minute.
Trump's state of mind.
Wait a minute. Somebody told me that you ran a dog over this morning when you went to go get coffee.
Uh-huh.
You're a dog unaliver.
Okay.
That's
What if the
hearsay.
person who told you that was
Mm-hmm.
sitting in the passenger seat with me and has known me for years?
Well, then he should report you directly for the crime.
What if he was in on it and he's like, "Yeah, we're going to run over dogs together. This is fucking awesome."
That would be a co-conspirator.
Like Steve Bannon would be in this case of Trump denying that he won the election. True.
So
I'm
so
glad
can
you agree that
can
this
you
quote
show
from
me-
Steve Bannon
hold on.
was not
Can
meant
you
to be
show
public.
me- hold on.
This quote
Can
from
you
Steve Bannon was not meant to be public. This was
Did
him
Donald-
talking to allies behind the scenes in October of 2020 saying, "Hey, you know what we're going to do when the election happens? Trump's going to walk out in the middle of the night before they start counting mail-in ballots and he's just going to declare himself victor." Doesn't mean he's actually victor, but he's just going to declare himself victor. So yes, he
So-
was a co-conspirator. He was part of Trump's plot to overturn the election. This is true. This is true.
Did Donald Trump concede?
No.
Okay. Do you have any one piece of evidence coming directly from the primary source, Donald Trump, and
Yes.
his internal thoughts coming out of his mouth where he said that he lost?
Yes, I have over 4 sources of that directly from
Okay.
Trump, which I can tell you if
Let's
you'd like
let's
to hear
hear
them.
him. No. I want to hear it.
Number
You play
one,
it right now.
a White House
Play it.
aide heard Trump saying to his
Oh,
staff,
hearsay
"It doesn't
again.
matter if you won or lost the election, you still have to fight like hell." He said to Mike Pence, "You're too honest." He said to Cassidy Hutchinson and Alyssa Farah
All
Griffin.
hearsay.
He said to Cassidy Hutchinson and
All
Alyssa
hearsay.
Farah Griffin, who worked with Donald Trump, that were in the White House with him every single day. He said to both of them that he knew he lost the election. "Can you believe I lost to this guy?" is what he said to Alyssa Farah Griffin. And then later on, he also said that Sidney Powell, who was advancing claims that Venezuela had hacked our voting machines, he said about those claims coming from Sidney Powell that they were, quote, crazy and that they were, quote, like Star Trek. Yet, despite calling them crazy and despite calling them Star Trek, he used those exact same claims from Sidney Powell to draft an executive order saying we have to seize voting machines. So this is over 5 instances I've given you now of people who are working with Trump on a daily basis and Donald Trump himself admitting that he lost the election and that he was still going to try to contest it. And the same goes for the classified documents case, which
So
if you want to talk about that, Donald Trump consistently admits to criminality behind the scenes. So
just for the record, everyone in the chat, he cannot because it doesn't exist.
I just gave him multiple quotes from Donald
is
Trump.
all hearsay.
No, it's evidence. It's evidence from an indictment.
Okay, so prove intent. Go ahead.
It's evidence from an indictment, which proves intent.
Okay,
yes.
So Jack Smith, right, in his case, requires showing intent, right?
Which is where these quotes are from. Jack Smith was able to prove intent, I think, in his indictment.
All hearsay evidence, right?
What you said hearsay means you heard it from a primary source. So I'm not going to take you seriously.
Well, yeah,
you
you just said.
Is.
Hold on, and I'm going to quote you that an aide in the White House overheard Donald
not
Trump
overheard. Spoke to Donald Trump directly in a conversation. Someone who worked for Donald Trump that was in the White House with Donald Trump. There are images of them together. Donald Trump hired these people. They're not random people that walked by the White House and
I'm
were like,
still waiting
"What's
for
that? I
primary
hear something
evidence.
through the White House window." And
So
again,
we've already established
why did
that
you
you're not a
lie
mind
about the
reader.
definition of hearsay?
Listen.
Why did you lie about the
because that's
definition
what
of
you said.
hearsay?
No, because that's not what you said the first
You
time.
said hearsay means you heard something from a primary
You're trying
source.
to clean up your lies.
Everyone watching
in
on
real
YouTube
time.
again, I'd encourage you to rewind and find the part where he said
You
that hearsay is when you
specifically-
hear something
hold
from a
on.
primary
This
source.
is what you said. A staffer in the White House overheard
Multiple staffers.
Donald Trump talking.
I gave you the names of 3 staffers
his
and the vice
cabinet.
president and Steve Bannon.
Listen, this is what you said. A staffer in the White
5
House.
sources. They're
overheard
all fake,
Donald
apparently.
Trump.
If you said 1 is fake, 2 are fake, fine. You're saying all 5
Do you know
sources
what a
are
primary
fake.
source
Steve
is?
Bannon, Alyssa Farah Griffin, Cassidy
you
Hutchinson,
know what a
the unnamed
primary-
person on Marine One, and Donald Trump himself.
Okay, so do you know what the primary source is? Do you know what one is?
Yeah, it's the origin of whatever the evidence is.
Okay, and that would be Donald Trump, correct?
Yes, and if someone spoke to Donald
Okay,
Trump, wouldn't they have been speaking to the primary source?
So play a video. Play a video of Donald Trump saying that he lost. Go ahead. I'll wait.
I never claimed that there's a video. Do things only exist if they're caught on tape? This is news to every prosecutor out there who gets people, convicted without having video evidence of them saying, "Hi, I'm here to commit a crime, everyone. Crime time. Let's go." You actually can use witness testimony, people that were with the person who committed the crime. And the person said, "Hey, I know you. I hired you. Let's commit crimes, guys." Again,
Is it illegal?
Mike
Let me
Pence,
ask you.
Steve Bannon, Cassidy Hutchinson, Alyssa Farah Griffin, and then the unnamed person on Marine One. These are 5 sources who are all proved to work within the White House. If you want to say 1's a liar, 2 are a liar, fine. That still leaves 3 or 4 who can't be liars. Unless you want to say Steve Bannon is lying, Alyssa Farah Griffin is lying, Cassidy Hutchinson is lying, and Mike Pence is lying, and the unnamed captain on Marine One. They're all lying. Unless you have evidence for that, I'm going to defer to the evidence brought up in the Jack Smith indictment against Donald Trump. Yes.
Okay.
I am.
So
And the
you
Steve
see how
Bannon
I
thing is on tape. I can play it for you,
You're not
actually.
done. Okay. So you see how that works? I let you speak, right? And now you let me
And then you change the
speak, right?
subject.
No. I'm diving in with you.
Please
We're
dive.
both on the deep end, okay?
Dive, yeah.
So you did a gainer and you made one of the biggest splashes I've ever seen. Now I'm going to show you how it's done, right?
Oh, please.
So it's not illegal. It's not illegal for an individual to talk to their lawyer, which would be Giuliani, and it's not illegal for
mentioned
that said lawyer to talk to congressmen and women about the legal process
Has nothing to do with anything I just said.
object to the electorates, right? These are all processes that are laid out in the Constitution, right? And then we had senators
Even
who
when you change the
then-
topic, you're wrong.
Who then? No, hold on. Who then signed on to the objection, and then we had the debate on the floor, right? And so what you're saying
Not addressing
is
anything
an
else.
individual, a candidate in this particular case, who felt like they lost, right?
No, they did not feel like they lost.
hold on, can take
Or
actions
rather, yeah,
and
they
have
did feel like they lost. You're
conversations.
right. You're right.
Hold on. See, I never interrupted you. Okay.
Please, go ahead.
You're saying that it's illegal for them to have conversations with individuals
No.
to go ahead and take actions
Making
against
stuff up.
the wrongdoing that
Never
was
said that.
perceived by the candidate.
I never said any of that.
And that's exactly what Donald Trump
I
did.
never
Donald
never
Trump
brought
has
up Rudy
never-
Giuliani. I
Hold
never
on.
brought up Congress people.
Donald Trump. Hey, listen. Donald Trump never said that he lost. He's never conceded to the actual process, right? And he's been throughout in the entire process of this taking place has always stated that foreign interference of said activity and has kept that same position,
Oh,
right?
God, bro.
And the fact that you have to have intent, right, to defraud, right,
Mhm.
is the real issue here. And now we have a
When are you
Supreme
going to address
Court
what I
case-
said, though, by the way? I never
Hold
brought
on.
up Rudy
Now we
Giuliani
have-
or
now, hold
being
on.
illegal to
Now
talk or
we
anyone in the
have,
Congress.
At the time, hold on. At the time, it stated that a candidate did not have standing because the state could
I don't
run
know
the
what this
said
guy's
thing
talking about
however
right
they
now.
wanted to. The Supreme Court now has said that a candidate does have standing, what changes the game. The issue here in the Brunson case specifically is that the federal government never truly did an investigation
Oh, wow.
on the claims of
Pivot of the
evidence.
century.
No, these are all facts, sir. And you
You're just
can't
not addressing
produce,
what I said. I
you
never brought up
cannot
Rudy
prove-
Giuliani. I never brought
You
up
have yet-
anyone in Congress. I never
Listen,
brought up that it's illegal to
you
talk to your
have
lawyer.
yet to prove. You have yet to provide evidence that Donald Trump thought that he truly lost.
Why are you doing this to yourself?
Not one
dude?
time.
I gave
Why?
you so many outs to pivot, and you were like, "No,
okay.
I have to die on this hill." It's like that Monty Python scene where the guy's arms and legs get cut
Mm-hmm.
off. He's like, "Oh, it's just a flesh wound. You don't need to do this to yourself." I never mentioned Rudy Giuliani. I never mentioned any legal theories. You just completely pivoted from the
Of
5
course you
sources
don't.
I gave you. So I don't know why you have
Coming
to do
from
that
the
to
guy
yourself.
who coming from the guy who doesn't read minds and cannot prove that Donald Trump had any ill will other than the fact that he truly believes that he won. That's it. You cannot
did
produce
not.
it because it doesn't exist. And by the way, Jack Smith wouldn't be able to prove this in court either. And you know it.
Are you done?
And now you're quiet.
I'm just waiting for you to address what I said. You got really ass mad earlier that I was interrupting you, so I thought, you know what, let me just be quiet. I'm sure eventually he'll get to the point that I brought up, but it seems like you're done talking, but you actually never addressed anything I said. So I'm confused now.
All you have to do
You acted
is
like the reason you couldn't address what I was saying is that I
All
was
you
so
have
rude
to
I was
do-
interrupting you. And then when I
Yeah.
give you the floor, you start talking about Rudy Giuliani.
All you have to do is provide evidence
I gave
that
you 5
Donald Trump
sources.
said
5.
that he
1,
knew
2,
he
3, 4,
lost
5.
and that he was trying
One less
to
than
do
6,
things
one more than
illegally.
4. 5. 5
Go
sources
ahead.
were given to you.
Show
You never
me
addressed them.
primary
And it's actually
evidence.
funny that you bring up the fake elector stuff. Trump's own legal team referred to them as fake electors and leaked emails, so that kind of puts a hole in that argument as well. But before we pivot to that, can you address anything I said earlier?
That it's all circumstantial.
You were just saying buzzwords. You said hearsay. You said circumstantial. And I would love to move on. I have one other
Yeah,
guest request, and
yeah.
I don't know if this guy's even a Trump supporter, so there's slim pickings.
Hoodlum
And when you
won,
do find a Trump
host
supporter, it's
lost.
someone like
Let's
this
move
guy who
on.
has no idea what he's doing. So I'll ask the one other guy in the guest request, Evolve. Evolve, what do you want to debate me about? If you're actually a Trump supporter, then we can replace this guy with you. But until then, we're going to, unfortunately, this is all we have today to deal with. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the Committee of Truth that the Biden administration set up,
Dude,
it was deemed
I think my head may
unconstitutional
fall
by a
off my
federal
body
court.
if you keep pivoting so hard. I can't keep up
You
with
said
this.
let's move on. We're moving on. What, you don't
Okay,
get it?
Evolve is a Trump
This is my
supporter?
question. This is my question
What's
to you.
your question?
And, yeah, the department.
Bye-bye. If you guys are enjoying the live, make sure you double tap the screen. Make sure you follow up above. You can go to the link tree in my bio to watch on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, join the Discord. All of that stuff is free. And if you want to help out as well, my Cash App and PayPal are also both linked in my bio, in my link tree. Hey, how old are you?
30.
And do you disagree with any of the prompts on the screen right now?
Yeah, all of it.
All of it. Let's mix it up a little since we just did the first one. You don't think that Trump is the most corrupt president in modern history?
I mean, let's start in chronological order here.
Sure.
I want to know how you believe Trump is a threat to the
I think he's an
country.
authoritarian.
An authoritarian.
Yes.
So do you believe that he's going to try to take the 2028 election too? You think he's going to try to?
I believe he's going to
invoke
try to
some
rig
form
both
of martial law?
2026 and 2028. How he chooses to do that is going to vary depending on what he has available to him.
Okay, so are you saying that there's election fraud going on, or what?
Say it again.
Are you saying that there's going to be some form of
He's indicated that he
election
wants
fraud?
to engage in election fraud, yes.
That's crazy. Hey,
Yeah.
what happened in Georgia?
Where Tulsi Gabbard was part of a domestic law enforcement operation, which is now what the DNI is supposed to be doing.
Well, I'm,
Is that what
I'm
you're
asking
referring
you.
to?
I'm asking you what happened in 2020. Like, what did they find out recently?
In 2020.
Yeah, what did they find out recently?
You sound like you have a surprise for us, so you can go ahead and share it with everyone. I'm sure we'd love to learn.
Well, I mean, if you're so up to date,
Oh,
then
okay, you're right. I remember what happened in Georgia, at least in 2024, which is that Elon Musk's PAC was engaging in what may actually have been voter fraud by sending ballots to Republicans that were pre-filled. Georgia, I'm forgetting the name of the legislative body that determined this recently. This was last week that we found out that Elon Musk interfered in 2024 in a potentially illegal fashion in Georgia. What we also know about Georgia from 2020 is that we had at least 2 recounts, if not more, including hand recounts, and that Donald Trump called Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to tell him to find 11,780 votes, which if Donald Trump believed he genuinely won Georgia, what he would have said is, hey, just find all the votes that we haven't found yet. Instead, what Donald Trump said is, find me exactly the number of votes that I would need to win the state of Georgia. We also know on top of that Donald Trump knows he lost the 2020 election. So if you're under the impression that the 2020 election was stolen, you don't have much company with you, because even Donald Trump does not believe he won the 2020 election.
Okay, are you done now?
I am done. Yes.
Perfect. So okay, perfect. So then you'll know that here recently, the FBI has actually went and executed a search warrant and seized a whole bunch of different voter related things. There's now an active investigation. They've actually
what?
got several into the 200 some odd thousand votes that were pulled out from underneath a fucking table. Like, how about we start there, right? Like, there's a bunch of
Are you one of those people who thinks the ghost of Hugo Chavez possessed the voting machines and the bamboo fibers were on the sandwiches?
Did I interrupt you? Did I interrupt you?
I just want to go point by point.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, let me finish my point before you start interrupting me. Okay, great. So, with that being said, there's several things that happened. And by the way, I live in Georgia, right?
Cool.
So there's several things that happened that were complete fucking luderacy and should have never happened, right? For one, let's say the votes that came out from under the table were legitimate. Well, who the fuck in what's professional government setting is stashing ballots underneath a table? Like that's not at all how fucking any part of this should have happened, right? So we know there's potential issues. We know that the FBI is looking into it. Now my question is, what are you gonna say if it's proven that at least, 12,000 votes should have been cast in Trump's name and weren't cast in Trump's name? Would you then concede to say, well, hey, maybe Trump wasn't fucking insane and he had a legitimate cause to believe that there was interference?
If evidence was found of voter fraud in any election, legitimate evidence, not just Trump saying, I told you so, then I would take that extremely seriously and I'd want investigations and prosecutions of anyone involved in that fraud. Though I would say I'd be pretty confused if we found evidence of fraud in Georgia in 2020, considering that Trump's DOJ looked into it, the Georgia state government looked into it, and again, Donald Trump does not believe he won the 2020 election.
So hold on.
He'd be surprised
They
as
tried
well.
to look into it. They tried to look into it, and what happened? There was no fucking cooperation. Georgia refused to cooperate in fucking any means necessary, right? They wouldn't turn over fucking anything. And now we have an actual investigation where the FBI has actually seized all of the things in which they're talking about, right? So all of the things that they wanted to look into that they wouldn't allow them to here, right? Now they're able to look into that. So
the affidavit that was used to obtain a search warrant for the Fulton County Election Office referenced claims that have already been debunked by the Georgia Secretary of State years ago. So again, Georgia has a mostly Republican state government, and when Trump called Raffensperger, he didn't say, "Hey man, I want to figure out who actually won Georgia," because if you think there were shenanigans, what you'd actually say is, "I want to know the real vote count." What Donald Trump said is, "I want you to find me 11,780 votes."
Hold on, stop pivoting.
Can you address that?
I love this. Hunter, look, hold on. Check
you
this out.
address it?
Right. I love the fact that you're trying to pivot again,
I
right?
directly addressed the FBI
are saying,
raid that you
how
brought
is
up.
a
How is
search
that a
warrant?
pivot?
How is a search warrant obtained? What must a judge find in order to write a fucking search warrant? What must he have?
Some kind of probable cause.
Holy fucking shit. So you're saying that a federal fucking judge determined that there was federal fucking probable
Based
cause
on
that there
fake,
could have been
based on
Oh,
fake evidence given by the government. Yeah, if you lie to a judge, you can obtain a warrant for anything.
Let me see the evidence report that you have, sir. You must have something that we don't.
Well, you're aware that the judge gave
Let me
the.
see it. No. Hold on.
You can't just railroad. You have to let me respond to your point.
You said
You have to let me respond to your point, dude.
I want to see the.
I want to go back and forth. I'm happy to have a fun conversation with you. You have to let me respond to your point. There was an affidavit that was submitted to that judge to get the search warrant. That affidavit included claims that have been debunked by the Georgia Secretary of State years ago.
Okay, again, you're saying, oh, these claims. First of all, pull up the affidavit. Second of all, you're saying these claims have been debunked. If the federal judge, right, who is not an idiot, we can admit that.
Well, they take the
that
government
a
at their
federal
word.
presiding judge would not be stupid. So you're saying that judge found probable cause when something had previously been debunked, or is it more likely that they presented evidence that showed that the quote unquote debunking might not have been totally the right thing to say?
If you think the debunking wasn't right, then the burden of proof is on you there, because every official channel we have to verify these results, including many Republicans appointed by Donald Trump, all said that there was no fraud that took place that would have been significant enough. That would have been significant. Can I just finish? There was no evidence that was found by Republicans. There was no evidence that was found by Republicans appointed by Donald Trump that enough voter fraud took place to overturn the results of any of the states that Biden won.
You have to one, admit there was no cooperation on any part of the Democratic side. Georgia did not cooperate at all. They simply told them, "Oh, this is what happened."
Democrats don't
when
run
the truth
Georgia.
is, hold on. What? Are you serious?
You think
I live in
Democrats
Georgia,
were running
bud.
Georgia in 2020?
Are you serious? Do you know who the mayor of fucking Atlanta is? Do you know what the capital of Georgia is, sir? What is the capital of Georgia?
Can you answer any of my questions?
What is the capital of Georgia?
I'm
sir?
not going to answer a single. I
because
won't
they
even tell
voted
you what
red?
color the sky
Bro,
is until you address what I'm saying.
Democrats run Georgia, sir.
The Secretary of State was not a Democrat, was he?
The Secretary of State compared to the body of the people, sir.
Who has
I'm
more
talking
results
about-
who has more influence on elections? The mayor of Atlanta or something, or would it be the Secretary of State of Georgia?
Well, let's see. In what did Atlanta vote red or blue,
Oh,
sir?
you're not going to answer the question, bro.
Did Savannah vote red or blue, sir?
If you don't answer my questions, I'm not going to answer
Augusta vote red or
yours.
blue, sir? Did Macon vote? All of them.
A guest
yeah.
in your live
All
has
of the
violated
major-
our misinformation policy. Repeated violations by your guests may lead to restrictions on your access to multi-guest lives. Sorry. This guy has to go. I would have loved to continue. To that guy, if you have a second account, if you have a second TikTok account, you can come back in the request. We can continue talking. You just have to join from a different account, but I'll have you back up if you have another one. But, yeah, this is so boring, bro. I mean, again, why are we even debating the quote-unquote evidence of 2020 being stolen if Donald Trump doesn't think he won the 2020 election? That throws a wrench into all these arguments of oh, did you see... He's one of these people that believes the bamboo fibers on the sandwiches were possessing Hugo Chavez, and I don't even know what the fuck... This was so thoroughly debunked by Republicans, by Trump's own Department of Justice, by Trump's own DHS, by Trump's own cybersecurity people, by Brad Raffensperger, by every single red state and red state legislature that refused to certify fake electors for Donald Trump. The reason that the judge took their word for it here was pretty clear. It's called the presumption of regularity, which is that when the federal government goes to a federal judge, the federal judge assumes that they're telling the truth and just assumes good faith from them, which is by and large been true up until recently, where we have now over 60 cases of the administration giving arbitrary and capricious statements to federal judges to lie in many cases here. So, I mean... Yeah. 1 second, let me text someone back. Okay. Is that guy back in the guest request? Is he here? Is anti-liberal the same guy? Is that Evolve? Hold on. I'm just going to say before you hop on, let's try to use like TikTok-friendly language. If you want to make conspiracy theory claims about 2020, you can do so, but just be like a little bit slick about how you word that so you can stick around.
Yeah, I got it. I just want to say that first off, it's crazy that the audience is reporting it as misinformation.
It was probably
in the first
TikTok's
place.
auto-moderation.
Yeah, nah, it's a report thing. It's cool though.
I've debated people that have said crazier stuff than you, and the audience never reported them, so.
Nah, I doubt it. Either way, the truth is, whenever we look at the totality of the situation and we see that a federal judge who went to fucking law school and is presiding federally has granted a search warrant to go, like, you have to admit that there has to be some form of probable cause that would have broken the law that took place. Otherwise, they would have said, "Oh no."
Well, if the
according to
affidavit was
this guy on
true,
TikTok,
it would have been
according to
probable
this guy on
cause.
TikTok, they already debunked this.
No,
So,
no,
you know what I mean?
not this guy on TikTok. The Georgia Secretary of State debunked the claims that are referenced in the affidavit. And the reason the judge heard them out, do you know what the presumption of regularity is, like the presumption of good faith? Which is that when the federal government brings a case to a court, the court automatically assumes they're not going to lie because it's the federal government. But what we've seen so far in the Trump administration is that's not exactly safe to say because Trump has lied to courts multiple times.
But what you're saying though doesn't make sense, because even if there is a presumption there that they're going to be honest, they still have to have the one thing, and that one thing is probable cause.
It was a
And if they don't
referral
have
from, I
probable
believe his name
cause,
is Kurt Olson. Let me look this up to verify.
It doesn't matter who it was from.
They had a referral
If there's
from
no
Kurt Olson.
probable cause, then there is no warrant, sir. And if
Yeah,
there
but
is
if
a
the
warrant, then there's
Kurt Olson-
grounds for
where
a
is this?
fucking lawsuit. Right? Like they would be taking the grounds to get arrested and fucking sued crazily.
Yeah, it
because
was
they-
based on a referral from Kurt Olson, who is now the Trump administration's director of election security. So Trump is appointing people to these high-ranking positions that have some legitimacy to them, and then using referrals from those offices as a pretext to
Yeah, that
approve
sounds
these
like a
search warrants.
conspiracy theory, sir. Whenever we have to
No,
look at
I'm
the facts. What are the
directly
facts
telling
say?
you, is
What are the
Kurt
facts say,
Olson not a
sir?
real person? Is that a conspiracy
What are
theory?
the-
Or
No, the conspiracy theory is you're saying, oh, well, all of these people are just conspiring in order to make up this blah 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 and go act on.
I have evidence
these
for why
warrants
they'd be
and
doing
seize
that.
Evidence.
I can tell
Like
you.
a judge. Like
Do you
have to admit
agree?
that a judge
Let's just
had
see
to
if we
write
can
the
find
warrant, yes or
agreement
no?
on this. I think we can find agreement on this. Do you agree that if Trump was under the impression he lost the 2020 election, then that would call into question his efforts to challenge the results, right? If he believed he
Yeah.
lost and he still challenged it, hypothetically, that would call into question the legitimacy of that quote-unquote evidence, right?
If he believed he lost, sure.
And he does believe he lost. That's my argument.
Again, that's complete ridiculous.
No, I have evidence.
How can you say he believes that he lost whenever
there's
he's
multiple
physically
pieces of
stated
evidence that he believes he
multiple
lost.
times? Plus, hold on, listen. Plus, not only that, but also his administration is currently chasing the fraud that happened in 2020. And again, you're completely avoiding the point. Yes or no? Did a judge sign a search warrant to go and seize the evidence that they seized recently? Yes or no?
Obviously, I've already. That was never
Okay,
something I
perfect. Now, what
disputed,
is
but
the
now you
one
have to answer
thing-
me. How can
now,
you
what
say
is
so
the one
confidently that
thing-
Trump
hold on,
thinks
let
he
me
won?
back this up.
No, you can't
Let me
just
back this
you
up.
can't just move on from this point. If you're going to address the point that I've made, if you're going to address the point that I've made, I have to be able to respond to your addressing that. You said that you disagree.
That a judge have to
You
have,
said
sir?
that you disagree with my claim that
Probable
Trump
cause.
believes he lost the 2020 election. I have evidence that he believes that, and like you
No,
admitted,
you don't. You have
like
quotes,
you admitted,
quotes in
like you
hearsay,
admitted,
sir. I already
like you
heard that.
admitted,
I already
like
heard
you
your
admitted,
quote-unquote evidence.
like you admitted, if Trump believes he lost the 2020 election, that would call into question all efforts to challenge the election because he believes he lost.
Again, your evidence, quote unquote, is hearsay. I've already heard
Nope,
all of it.
it's evidence from an indictment.
Never.
It's not hearsay.
Okay, so you're saying that evidence
That's
from an indictment
witness
can't be
testimony.
hearsay?
That's witness
Witness
testimony.
testimony that they overheard someone say something.
No,
Have you
that
ever
they
played a game of
spoke to
telephone,
Donald
sir?
Trump directly.
No. I heard your quote earlier, sir.
Only one of them is someone who overheard Trump. The rest spoke to him directly. Mike Pence, Steve Bannon, Cassidy Hutchinson, and Alyssa Farah Griffin. These 4 sources spoke to Trump directly. The 5th source was someone who overheard him saying something on Marine Force One to his family.
Okay, perfect. Listen, instead of pivoting, we can go to
No,
the
but this is
secondary, but let's
directly
continue.
addressing
No, it's
everything.
not. No, it's
You're
not.
saying
No, it's
that
not,
this.
sir.
You're saying
there was no
that
evidence,
this.
sir.
You're saying that this
Stop.
affidavit that was
No,
used to
we
get
were
the
we were
probable
speaking
cause
about
for the
Georgia-
warrant.
Listen,
You're
we
saying
were
that this
speaking about
warrant was
Georgia election
legitimate.
fraud. You're
Dude,
pivoting completely, sir. So if you want
I'm
to concede, we
proving
can
to
move
you how
on.
I'm not pivoting if you let me just finish talking. You're talking about the Fulton County Election Office raid, which you are under the impression was based on some kind of legitimate probable cause. I'm saying that number one, the affidavit that they used to get the probable cause was based on claims that have been debunked, and that number two, the federal government even pursuing this warrant when Donald Trump knows he lost the 2020 election is proof that they want to overturn results even when they legitimately lose elections. And the
So then
intent,
you're saying that
the
the
intent
judge
of the
that signed that
person,
warrant is an
the
idiot,
intent of the
basically, is what you're
person,
saying.
the intent of the person seeking the warrant should be very relevant in evaluating whether the warrant is legitimate or not.
Okay, perfect. Now, with all of that being said, yes or no? Did the judge sign
I
the
already
warrant?
said
yes.
yes.
Or no?
I never disputed
Perfect.
this.
Now, what must a judge
Why do you keep asking
have
that?
in order to?
Wait, why do you
because
keep asking that
you won't-
question?
You won't say it. Say it.
Why do you keep
Probable
asking that
cause,
question?
Right? Probable cause, right?
If the evidence given was true,
no,
yeah.
no. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yes or no? And the judge has to have probable cause to sign a warrant. Yes or no?
A judge has to believe there's probable cause.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So now,
And where would they
there
get
was
that probable cause from?
Found. Perfect.
Where would
Now,
they
there
get
was
the probable cause from?
Listen. Would you let me finish my point now? I let you ramble on,
Well,
right?
you're making 5 points at once. Where would they get the probable
It's
cause
the same
from?
point. It's the same fucking point.
So let's
sir.
go in chronological order, right? You're saying a judge has to believe it. Where would they get the probable cause from?
From the people doing the investigation.
And
such
if the
as
people doing the
FBI,
investigation believe that they're lying, doesn't that call something into question about the probable cause they're claiming is
they
real?
don't believe that they're lying, sir.
Donald Trump does.
You believe that they're lying.
No, Donald
how
Trump
do you know
has
what Donald
admitted
Trump
he's lying. You
believes,
don't want to
sir?
engage with the
No,
evidence
listen,
on that
again,
because that debunks
because you're
everything
using
else you could
fucking
say about
hearsay, sir.
they were
Okay,
putting
I'll tell you what.
sandwiches in
Give
Hugo
me-
Chavez's
show me-
asshole with the
show me
bamboo
proof.
fibers. It debunks all of it.
Show me an official transcript or video or some evidence of Donald Trump saying that he knew that he lost the election, sir.
It's in the Jack Smith indictment. I can quote you
it's in
from the Jack Smith indictment. It's an official
hearsay
PDF.
of
It's the
people that
indictment
didn't like
submitted to a
Trump.
court.
Holy fuck! Who would have thought? People that didn't like Trump made claims against him. Oh, who
Jack
else did
Smith
that?
has
Maybe
prosecuted
Carroll.
Republicans and
Get the
Democrats
fuck outta
before. What do
here,
you mean he
sir.
doesn't like Trump?
Yeah, he obviously he doesn't like Trump, sir.
What if Trump just
It doesn't
committed a
matter-
crime?
It doesn't matter if he
Wait,
had previously
This is interesting.
convicted
So apparently, if
Republicans, he
Trump
doesn't like
gets indicted, the only explanation is that the guy who indicted him doesn't like Trump. Really?
I mean, from what I've seen previously, 100%.
Then why has Jack Smith
all-
put
it's all
Democrats in jail
bullshit.
for corruption?
Well, because they were obviously going against what he believes.
Which he believes in, like anti-corruption, like following rule of law. If Jack Smith has been a
Nah,
bipartisan
nah, I
prosecutor,
believe-
he's worked for Republicans and Democrats. He's put Republicans and Democrats behind bars. He's prosecuted both Republicans and Democrats. Just because you love Donald Trump so much doesn't mean
Name
that
one
Jack Smith
Democrat.
hates him.
Name one Democrat he's prosecuted.
I don't remember the names off the top of my head, but I can look them up if you'd like.
Oh shit! But I bet you know some fucking Republicans that he's prosecuted
No.
off the top of your head, don't you?
No, I don't actually, but I can
Oh, you
look them
don't?
up
What
for
about
you if
Donald
you'd
Trump?
like. I know that he has. Do you want me to?
Yeah, look it up. Let's
Sure.
hear. Let's hear you substantiate the claims that you don't even fucking know. You're just making shit up off the top of your head.
You understand that I can know he prosecuted Democrats without having their names memorized, right?
I mean, if that was the case, then you should know their names, sir. Oh, he's
I
prosecuted
don't know their
Democrats.
names,
You
they're
should
not
fucking
real?
know. You should know, sir. You up here making unsubstantiated claims of a bunch of hearsay. It's
Will you
crazy.
apologize?
Hey,
Okay,
is hearsay admissible in court? Yes or
John
no?
Edwards, Bob Menendez, and who else is this? Bob
Okay,
McDonnell
the
and
person.
Rick
Who is
Renzi.
John- Who is John Edwards, sir?
Smith oversaw the prosecution of the former North Carolina senator and 2004 Democratic vice presidential nominee. The 2012 case alleged that Edwards used nearly $1 million in campaign donations to hide an extramarital affair. It resulted in an acquittal on one count and a mistrial on the remaining 5, with the DOJ ultimately deciding not to retry him. Bob Menendez was in 2015, and then you had also Bob McDonnell.
Sounds like he didn't try very hard there, did he? Oh,
Or maybe
shit.
they just lost the case because there's also a defense and a judge, right?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
So now
Keep
you're
on.
shifting the
Who's
goalpost
Who's
from he
the next
didn't.
guy? No,
Wait,
no,
you're
you
shifting
said-
the
you said he
goalpost now.
Sir, you said he.
Why are you shifting the
prosecuted
goalpost?
people. Sir, you said he prosecuted. He did
He
not
did
prosecute
prosecute.
that guy.
He
No,
did
the fuck
prosecute, just
didn't.
lost.
He tried to.
No, he
He
did
tried to
prosecute, and then he
him.
just lost the
didn't
case, right?
successfully prosecute him, though.
He did prosecute, and then he just lost the case. Do you understand that, right?
You understand that being prosecuted.
So why are
like,
you now shifting
like,
the goalpost? Apologize.
I'm not. Sir, you said that he prosecuted
You
like I was not
acted like I
prosecuted.
was lying that Jack Smith.
You are lying.
You acted like I was lying that Jack Smith prosecuted Democrats. I gave you names. You're gonna apologize
You
or
gave
no?
me a name of a guy who didn't even get convicted, sir.
But
That's not a prosecution.
We didn't talk about who he convicted. We talked about who you prosecuted. So now you're shifting the
Okay, perfect.
goalpost.
So who's the next guy?
Bob Menendez.
Okay, what did he do?
In
Let me guess,
2015,
election
Smith's
fraud.
office brought public corruption charges against a Democratic senator from New Jersey. The initial case ended in a mistrial in 2017 after the jury deadlocked. Menendez was later prosecuted again and convicted in 2024 from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, which was not Jack Smith. So again,
Okay, so
another Democrat
lost
who he
the first
prosecuted, right?
He so it sounds like he like was gonna let him go. Maybe he didn't
No,
do
you're-
something that he wanted to do.
you have evidence
so
of any
then
of that?
he went back
Wait, do you have
after him.
evidence
Who's
of
the
any of
next
that?
guy? Who's the next guy?
Do you have evidence of any of that?
Do
You
do
said that
have
Jack
any
Smith
evidence?
wanted to let
Do you
him
have
go.
any
So now
evidence
hold
of
on.
fucking-
I gave
do
you
have any
evidence.
of Trump doing
Let's
anything? No,
just
you
go.
don't.
Let's just go
You have
point
a
by
bunch of
point.
hearsay,
I
sir.
gave you
have a
evidence,
bunch of
and
fucking
notice
hearsay.
how I have it muted you. I want to have a respectful back and forth, which you can do if you just calm down. Notice how you said prove that Jack Smith prosecuted Democrats. I gave you proof. Now you're saying Jack Smith planned to let them go. Now you give me evidence that Jack Smith planned to let the Democrats go free. Your turn.
Oh,
Your turn.
I'm giving you my
Your
opinion
turn.
on that. The same. I'm giving you my opinion on that. The same way that you're giving
No, that
me.
you're making a
giving
claim.
me your opinion
You're
on what
making a
you
claim.
believe Trump's thoughts are.
You're making a claim. I've
Dude,
given you evidence for every claim I've
You literally
made.
told me you know what
I've
Trump
given you
believes,
evidence for
dude.
every claim I've made. Now it's your
No,
turn to
you
give some
haven't.
evidence.
You gave me hearsay, sir. You gave me hearsay.
I gave you evidence.
Hearsay is
It's
not
not hearsay if
admissible in
someone
court,
spoke
sir.
to Trump. It's not hearsay if I have a recording of Steve Bannon saying this.
Okay, well, let's see the recording.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And what Trump's going to do is just declare victory, right? He's going to declare victory. But that doesn't mean he's the winner. He's just going to say he's the winner.
What he's going to do is declare victory. Doesn't mean he's a winner. He's just going to say he's a winner. And there's more to this clip
perfect.
if you want to hear it.
Perfect. So what he's saying is because the voters are going to overwhelmingly vote via mail-in ballots, right? That at the time of that particular moment that he would declare victory. Now let me ask you this question.
And what did he say
Did
after that?
Donald
Doesn't
Trump-
mean he's a
Hold on,
winner.
let me ask
Doesn't
you a
mean
question.
he's a winner.
Let me ask you a
Right?
question. Hold on, let me ask you a
Right?
question.
No,
Donald-
you don't get to.
did
You
Donald
asked me to
Trump
play
do
the
it?
clip. Now engage with the
Okay,
clip.
now perfect. I'm engaging with the clip.
What did he say
Donald
after
Trump
that?
Declare victory. Yes
What
or
did
no?
he say after that?
Did Donald Trump declare
Bro,
victory?
You have
the
to
night
address the
of,
clip
yes
that
or
you
no?
asked me to play.
Dude, you're telling me that you have this fucking thing that this guy said some shit that Trump was gonna do. Did Trump do said thing? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now show me a video of the night of the election of Donald Trump saying, "I'm the winner.
Sure.
I'm the winner, folks, and there's nobody that's gonna take it from me." Like, no, dude. Like, you're an idiot.
No, I'm glad you said that. This is from election night.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we
Pause
did
it right
win
there.
this election.
Pause it.
He
Pause it
just
right
said
there.
we did win this election.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, as in his opinion, we did win this election.
What
Now,
the fuck do you
that
think
started-
frankly means?
As in, like, frankly, like
It
he's
means
speaking all this-
honestly.
He's honestly, in his opinion, sir.
So hold on, you're agreeing that he did exactly what Steve Bannon said he was going to do. He's going to come out in the middle of the night and declare victory, which is exactly what he did.
Sir, play the beginning. of
You
the clip.
asked for proof
Play
that
the-
Trump. Hold
play
on.
the first-
Don't
you're
flip
avoiding
flop.
the first couple of
Don't
words
flip
of the
flop
fucking
what
clip,
you
sir.
said. You
No,
literally
you're
said
avoiding-
you
dude,
said
shut up for
play
a second and
evidence
play-
that
bro,
Donald
you're an
Trump
idiot.
claimed victory on
You're a
election night, and I
fucking-
played
you're a
the evidence.
propagandist.
You
You're a
keep shifting the
propagandist, sir.
goalpost.
No, because you're
You keep
avoiding
shifting the
words.
goalpost.
Listen,
Prove
shut
that
the
Jack
fuck up and
Smith
play-
prosecuted Democrats.
You're
I
an
meant
idiot.
conviction.
You're a
Prove
fucking
that Donald
stupid
Trump
fuck.
said he won the election.
Play
It was his
the
opinion.
First part. Play the first part of the video.
I'll play it after I finish saying what you keep
No, no, no,
trying to
play-
stop
play-
me from saying
play-
because you're
play the first-
scared.
No, because you're scared.
Notice
because
how
you're
this
wrong.
guy first says,
He admits that he lost.
I don't want to have
and
to
then he
mute you,
said
bro.
in his
Just calm
opinion,
down
he
for 1
won.
second and I'll
I
let
mean,
you
okay.
talk. I'm more than happy to let you talk. I don't want to have to mute you.
You keep fucking
Notice how
rambling on,
first
sir.
he says, give me proof that Jack Smith prosecuted Democrats. I give him proof. Oh, I meant conviction. Give me proof that Donald Trump claimed victory on election night. Oh, that was just his opinion. Notice how he keeps shifting the goalpost because he can't actually stand on anything he's saying.
Yeah,
I'll play the clip
when I say
again now that you
declare
asked.
victory,
This
whenever I
is
say
fraud.
declare victory,
On the American public.
oh shit, what is he
This
saying
is
right
an
there?
embar-
Wait, why are you
What is
trying
he
to cut
saying
him
right
off?
there?
Why are you
Pause
cutting
it
him
right
off?
there.
Let him finish.
Because that's what I wanted him to say.
No, but
Now,
you
what-
said, show me
hold
that
on,
Donald
hold on,
Trump
shut the
claimed
fuck up.
victory on election
I
night.
said, show me the beginning of the video, sir.
You
Which
said,
is
show
him
me that Donald
admitting-
Trump claimed victory
which
on
is-
election
shut
night.
the fuck up. He did not declare
Aw.
victory, sir. Did he say?
If you
"Oh,
stop
I'm
talking
taking
over
it"?
him, you can hear him
Do you know
declare
what
victory,
declare
yes.
means? Do you know what? Do you know what declaring victory means? It means
Yeah,
like
it's saying, frankly, we
absolute-
did win this election. That'd be declaring
it's,
victory.
No, it's him saying absolute. He won, right? That would have been
He
declaring
did. He said,
victory.
we won this election.
Bro, you're an idiot. So you're saying that he, from that point forward, did not turn over the election?
I'm going to play the clip again like you
Bro,
asked. This time I'm going to mute you so we can finish hearing Trump.
This is a fraud on the American public.
Oh, he left.
This is an embarrassment.
I didn't
to
kick
our
him. I just
country.
muted him. Why'd he leave?
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. We did win this election. So all now is to
Yikes.
ensure the integrity.
This is the number one response. Everyone, next time you talk to someone who talks about the 2020 election being stolen, quote unquote stolen, it wasn't actually stolen. The first question to ask them is this. Okay, let's have an open conversation. You believe something, I believe something. We both want to know what's true, right? We're both honest people. Maybe. If this is like a family member or something. What you're going to ask them is this. If Donald Trump hypothetically believed that he lost the 2020 election, would that cause you to reevaluate everything he did after the 2020 election, right? Because if Trump believes he won genuinely, then that characterizes everything else he did as like, I just want to win because I genuinely think I won. If Trump believes he lost, then every attempt he made to overturn the results suddenly looks a lot more sinister. Suddenly looks a lot more authoritarian, right? Once the intent is established. And most reasonable people will say, okay, hypothetically, if Trump thought he lost the election, I agree, but Trump didn't think he lost. Trump thought he won. Once you get them to agree that that's the case, just play this clip of Steve Bannon for them, where Steve Bannon very clearly says, and I'll play the full Steve Bannon clip. Now I can do screen share if anyone wants to watch this. And even most libs and most leftists and progressives don't know about this, which this should have been plastered on every TV screen for every election ever. Let's just hear what Steve Bannon says. And again, this was in October of 2020. I think even the MAGA guys can agree the 2020 election was in November. So what was Steve Bannon, who worked with and for Donald Trump, saying in October before the 2020 election? Let's hear him out.
What Trump's going to do is just declare victory. And what Trump's going to do is just declare victory, right? He's going to declare victory. But that doesn't mean he's the winner. He's just going to say he's the winner. The Democrats, more of our people vote early that count. Theirs voted mail. And so they're going to have a natural disadvantage, and Trump's going to take advantage of it. That's our strategy. He's going to declare himself a winner. So when you
It's literally what he did. That's literally what he did. It's so specific. It's like there'd be some plausible deniability if Bannon didn't so specifically lay out the game plan. He literally says, okay, Democrats vote by mail more than we do. And we know that in-person ballots are counted before mail-in ballots. So what we're going to do is right as soon as they finish counting the election day ballots, Trump's going to come out in the middle of the night and just declare victory. Doesn't mean he actually won, right? What he's going to try to do is preempt the counting of the mail-in votes.
wake up Wednesday morning,
And you know what's interesting that no one talks about? In the 2024 election, Trump was making ads telling people to vote by mail. And he won. It turns out that if Trump didn't fucking shoot himself in the foot, he probably could have done better in 2020 if he just told his own supporters to also vote by mail. Because it just is a fact that if you have vote by mail, turnout goes up because people can just do it from home, right? And if instead of being a crybaby about it, if Donald Trump did in 2020 what he did in 2024, it's funny how he flip-flopped on that and just said, hey, vote by mail if you can't show up to the polls. In a fucking pandemic, by the way, maybe he could have done better. Maybe he could have done better.
theirs voted mail. And so they're going to have a natural disadvantage, and Trump's going to take advantage of it. That's our strategy. He's going to declare himself a winner. So when you wake up Wednesday morning, it's going to be a firestorm. You're going to have Antifa crazy, the media crazy, the courts are crazy, And Trump's gonna be sitting there mocking, tweeting shit out. You lose. I'm the winner. I'm the king. And he'll be all over. He'll be going, "Where's Hunter? Is Hunter on a crack pipe?" I mean, no, he'll be, because then it doesn't matter. Remember,
They were even talking about the whole Hunter Biden strategy where they were like, the best thing we can do to distract from anything bad that Trump has done is just make a fuss of the Hunter Biden thing, even though there's nothing there. He's literally saying, when the media and the courts are like, hey, why are you challenging this election? Trump's going to pivot to Hunter Biden. It's exactly what the fuck he did.
And he'll be all over. He'll be going, "Where's Hunter? Is Hunter on a crack pipe?" I mean, no, he'll be, because then it doesn't matter. Remember, here's the thing. After then, Trump never has to go to a voter again. He's going to fire Wray, the FBI director, and fire the he's going to say, "Fuck you." How about that? Because he's never going to. He's done his last election. Oh, he's going to be off the chain. He's going to be crazy. Also, if Trump is losing by 10 or 11 o'clock at night, it's going to be even crazier. Because he's going to sit right there and say they stole it. I'm
agree.
I'm directing the Attorney General to shut down all ballot places in all 50 states. It's going to be no. He's not going out easy. If Biden's winning, Trump is going to do some crazy shit.
If Biden's winning, Trump is going to do some crazy shit. This was a recorded phone call. I believe he was speaking to some kind of Chinese media company to give them guidance for election night coverage. This was not meant to be heard by the public. And by the way, I've never heard this. It's sad. This is not this only has 544,000 views. Kamala Harris should have opened every rally with this audio recording and said, remember what these people did. Don't forget what these people did on January 6th. Steve Bannon, by the way, best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, was trying to actively rehabilitate Epstein's image, literally was coordinating with Epstein like, hey, man, the whole touching kids stuff is not a great look for your reputation. We have to fix that somehow. We have to reform you. What's the video called? Leaked audio. Trump planned to falsely claim victory according to Bannon. Here's the crazy thing. This is just a short recording of it. We have a full transcript that is like 90 minutes long. We have the full text of all of this. And he goes so much more in depth. It's from Mother Jones. If you look up Mother Jones Bannon full transcript, you will find some crazy shit. And by the way, a lot of the stuff he says here, Trump was unable to fully steal the election in 2020 because people like Bill Barr, people like Chris Wray, people who are working at the DOJ, the DHS, all of the cybersecurity divisions, all the Republican state governments, when Trump told them last time to change the results, to lie about the results, they were like, that's illegal. I am not going to do that. Mike Pence said, I'm not going to lie and do that. Bill Barr, the attorney general, said, I'm not going to lie and do that. The secretaries of state and state legislatures in Georgia and Arizona, all these different states were like, we're not going to do that. And that is why he had to leave office in the end. But what's unfortunate is, who's left this time to say, I'm not going to do that? Who's left? Kristi Noem will say, yes, sir, I'm on it. Pam Bondi will say, yes, sir, I'm on it. Kash Patel will say, yes, sir, I'm on it right away. Tulsi Gabbard, same thing. So don't be surprised if, just to give you a nightmare scenario, which is not that unlikely, imagine it's midterms night and holy shit, did James Tallarico just beat Ken Paxton by 0.5 points? Did a Democrat just flip the Texas Senate seat? Are Democrats going to get a Senate majority? And it's only like a 0.5 point difference, because even if Tallarico or Crockett wins Texas, it's going to be very, very close. They're not going to win by 5 points in a place like Texas. What happens if Tallarico beats Ken Paxton by like 0.2 percentage points? And then Ken Paxton comes out with Donald Trump and says, Iran and Venezuela have hacked our voting machines and overturned our results, and our country's under attack. And you know how we know we're under attack? Tulsi Gabbard has been on the scene. She's been investigating for months now. And then Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi come out and give a press conference saying that we can't tell you how we know this because it's classified, but what we can tell you is that foreign interference in Texas changed the results. And the actual winner in Texas was Ken Paxton. So by the way, when we swear in the Texas senator, whoever does that, I don't know if it's Mike Johnson or J.D. Vance or John Thune, whoever it is, we're just going to swear in Ken Paxton. Because obviously, listen, we have our DOJ and our CIA telling us that they found classified evidence of foreign governments hacking our voting machines. General Bondi, do you have evidence for this? We do. That is classified. Also, the Dow's at 50,000. That's what's going to happen. Because all of those checks and balances that existed within the executive branch are gone. These people, you might be wondering, why did Trump pick such unqualified people? You'd think he'd want people that at least do a good job. Like, doesn't Trump want to do a good job and get praise for how he governs? Why is Kash Patel the FBI director? Why is Tulsi Gabbard the DNI? Why is Pete Hegseth the Secretary of Defense? This doesn't make any sense. There are MAGA people who are more qualified, who have worked within these institutions. The issue is, if Trump picked people for those positions, even if they liked Trump and they were amenable to conservative policy goals, if they had a history of working within the federal government and abiding by the Constitution, then they'd pull a Bill Barr on him. They'd pull a Mike Pence on him. These people were all handpicked specifically for election interference. Specifically. You think Kristi Noem is going to say no? And by the way, while we're at it, I'll just pull this up. Let's pull this up. Hold on. This right here is an executive order. Let's read this executive order. I want to start by saying, if anyone remembers in the 2020 election, there was this lawyer named Sidney Powell. Sidney Powell, I think she was the Release the Kraken person, right? She was this crazy crackpot lawyer who was going around with Rudy Giuliani. And what Sidney Powell was claiming is that Hugo Chavez created Dominion voting machines to alter election results. And therefore, these results we're getting for the 2020 election, the soul, the ghost, the spirit of Hugo Chavez lives on in these voting machines. And he has circumvented our democratic process. And he has falsely given a victory to Joe Biden when in reality Donald Trump won, right? These theories of foreign governments hacking our voting machines to change results were so crazy that despite Sidney Powell saying this publicly, behind the scenes, Donald Trump would make jokes about her and say that she was, quote, a crazy person, and say that her theories reminded him of Star Trek because they were so outlandish, they were like sci-fi to him. That is how stupid even Trump thought these theories were. But then Donald Trump uses those exact same theories to write this executive order, which again, he knows it's not true, but he uses it as evidence. Let's read this. Written by the Trump administration, the only reason he never signed the executive order that you're seeing on your screen right now is not because he didn't want to. It's because the people that would have to carry out these acts would say, no, sir, that is unconstitutional. And if you keep pushing us to do this, we will invoke the 25th Amendment, which, little known fact, the Trump cabinet in his first term, especially after the 2020 election, there were discussions between his cabinet members of removing him from office with the 25th Amendment because he had lost his fucking mind, because he was trying to do a coup of the U.S. government. There was crazy things that were floated. Another fun fact, him and I believe Mike Flynn, maybe it wasn't Mike Flynn, floated an idea to send the United States military to swing states and redo the election. They wanted to take voting machines through the military back to Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and I think Nevada as well, and rerun the election at gunpoint with the military overseeing this new election. Very weird stuff, right? And the only thing that held him back were the people that work for him. So let's read this. By the authority vested in me as President of the United States pursuant to the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, including Article 2, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution, Executive Orders 12333, 13848, National Security Presidential Memoranda 13 and 21, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Is this fucking AIPA? So, I didn't even realize this. The same statutory authority that Trump tries to use for his tariffs, he also tried to use it to steal the election. What a fucking one-size-fits-all this is. I didn't even know. The International Emergency Economic Powers Act somehow gave him the power to... What's going on here? Live access removed? Bro, what? Bro, if you're on YouTube, I guess you can still watch. My TikTok live access was just suspended. Bro, what? That's so stupid. I'll appeal it. I got a strike yesterday, too, for literally no reason. I appealed it, and my appeal was approved, but... New strike added. You received a content violation on 2/23 at 6:36. It's not even 6:36. What happened? My TikTok live got suspended. I got a strike on my account for misinformation. Misinformation. All I've done is read articles and play quotes from people. This is misinformation, apparently. This is sus. Yeah, violation reason, misinformation. Your access to go live across all channels, including multi-guest, will be restored on February 26th at 3:29 p.m. Which, if that happens, we're not going to be able to do the fucking... State of the Union stream tomorrow, which is a bummer, but we'll see. If my appeal got checked pretty quickly yesterday. I got a strike yesterday for, again, no reason, and my appeal was approved pretty quickly. So I'm hoping they can approve this one quickly as well. Appeal reviews typically take up to 24 hours, but may take longer in some cases. Well, okay. Oh man, this kind of sucks because I had interviews lined up for the live stream tomorrow. So what am I supposed to do now? I guess I can still do the interviews and go live on YouTube and then maybe stream to my backup account, but I don't know how the TikTok live algorithm works because I'm able to get anywhere from 200 to 700 concurrent viewers on TikTok. On YouTube, I'm topping off at like 15 or 20 concurrent viewers. And if I go live on TikTok from my backup account, which has like 30 followers or something, I don't know if it's going to have the same reach as my main account. That's going to kind of suck for the State of the Union coverage. Let's just hope that we get the appeal approved. I don't know. How did you get banned? Apparently misinformation. I was literally reading an executive order drafted by Trump, and it's misinformation. And yeah, my Discord knows about the YouTube being up, but I can't do debates anymore then. Well, Make a post about Maine on your backup. Appeal approved. Appeal approved. Let's fucking go. I will say the new TikTok moderation system is weird because I get flagged a lot more often, but my appeals get approved a lot more often too. So it's like a mixed bag. Like I've had a lot more success, number one, getting my appeals approved, and number two, speaking to a real person. Like I had a video taken down and I was able to actually speak to someone who works at TikTok pretty quickly. So I will say they've actually fixed in many cases their appeal system, but they're a little bit too trigger happy on the flagging system. But I'm glad to hear we can continue the live. Let's go. Okay. Maybe we have some radical left lunatics working over at TikTok and they know. They know. Okay, wow. Wow, we're back. We're back. Deep State tried to stop us. All my appeals get denied because I'd be wilding for real. That's the thing. I get flagged on stuff that's like so benign. I feel like I'm pretty mild-mannered. I don't use like too much profanity, or I don't like really insult people in weird ways, so I feel like my appeals are pretty solid. We're back. Enrique Mendoza, you are free to support Trump in the chat, but if you spam the same message repeatedly, you are going to get blocked or muted. So my chat is a free market of ideas, okay? But you just can't spam stuff or use slurs or like bully people. Okay, let's see if let's wait for some people to hop back on. Good to know that worked. Although I don't know if this is gonna hurt the reach now. We had like 250 people before that flag, bro. Last night's fight with David was clearly... I'm not even going to say that word, Izzy, because clearly the TikTok auto moderation or whatever is like super trigger happy against me. So Parker just got 2 flags and had to restart. Yeah. I will say, though, I was saying this to the YouTube audience, which, by the way, if you never want to have the stream interrupted, watch on YouTube. I've never gotten flagged on YouTube, and the layout on YouTube is much better looking than the layout is on TikTok. But I will say, I've been getting flagged a lot more recently and getting strikes. I got a strike today. I got a strike yesterday. But I will say my appeals get approved really quickly. And I've had better luck getting in touch with TikTok support team than I did before. Like a couple times now, I've been able to speak over chat with someone who actually works at TikTok. And they've been very helpful. And this appeal was approved in like 5 minutes. So I will say it's a bit of a mixed bag in that I'm getting flagged and striked a lot more often, but my appeals to those flags and strikes are also being accepted way quicker, and I think in a way more fair way. So credit where it's due. Credit where it's due. Can you DM on who and how you contact someone? Yes, for sure. And just off the top of my head, from what I remember is, if you go to your TikTok support and help thing, there should be an option under like support and help to speak to support, and it'll take you to like a live chat within the TikTok app. I think everyone should have access to this regardless of the size of their account. But now I think I can read this executive order where we left off, which Donald Trump and his administration drafted in the 2020 election, where we were just laughing about the fact that let me just download this actually so we can zoom in more. This is funny because the hold on. International Emergency Economic Powers Act that Trump references in this executive order draft, which is meant to overturn the 2020 election results, this is the same law that he tried to use for his tariffs, which is just funny. They have like 3 things in their arsenal, and apparently IEEPA is one of them. What we are looking at here is an executive order that was drafted during Trump's first term to overturn the results of the 2020 election. The only reason Donald Trump did not sign this and push it forward is because the people that worked under him that would have had to carry out these orders, they would have refused to do so. You had threats of mass resignation from the Department of Justice. People who worked at the DOJ were like, if you try to overturn the results, we're going to resign en masse. Same thing goes for Bill Barr, the DHS people, the cybersecurity people, all these state secretaries of state and state legislatures from red states who refuse to certify fake electors for Trump. It seems like we have an op in the request, so I guess we can quickly pivot to debates before we read the executive order.
Yo,
Hey,
what's up?
how old are you?
I'm 21. What do you personally think about ICE?
I think it should be abolished and replaced with something else.
Why?
Because I think that they've engaged in so many gross violations of constitutional rights, and the way that they're hiring people now basically makes it like a political paramilitary force.
Yeah, you mean an example?
For which thing?
Let's just talk about the Fourth Amendment.
Sure. I can give you an example of a judge who said that ICE has violated more court orders in the month of January than some agencies have in their entire existence. If you
How
want to know
many
the
times
Fourth
has it
Amendment, I
been
have to
there?
probably look for a case law on that or case study on that.
Yeah, so how
I
many
don't know off the
times
top of my
in
head.
that month did they violate it?
I can look it up for you.
Okay.
Judge says Immigration and Customs Enforcement has violated 96 court orders in this month in Minnesota. Georgetown law professor Stephen Vladeck about tension between federal judges. Hold on, let me find the actual.
What's an example of like a case they violated?
That's what I'm pulling up for you. I'm trying to find the actual PDF. There we go. On January 8th, petitioner Juan T.R. filed a petition for a writ of habeas corpus. The court issued an order requiring respondents to file an answer no later than January 12th, 2026. Respondents failed to answer. Accordingly, the court granted the writ in part and ordered respondents to afford Juan a bond hearing within 7 days, or failing that, to immediately release him from detention. Respondents neither held a bond hearing within the required time nor released Juan. The court then issued a show cause order and scheduled a hearing at which it ordered the personal appearance of Todd Lyons, acting director of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The court noted, however, that if the parties filed a stipulation indicating that Juan had been released, the court would cancel the hearing and would not require Lyons to appear. The parties have now filed such a petition, and thus, as promised, the court will cancel the hearing. That does not end the court's concerns, however. Attached to this order is an appendix that identifies 96 court orders that ICE has violated in 74 cases. The extent of ICE's noncompliance is almost certainly substantially understated. This list is confined to orders issued since January 1st, 2026, and the list was hurriedly compiled by extraordinarily busy judges. Undoubtedly, mistakes were made, and orders that should have appeared on this list were omitted, so it's actually an undercount to say 96. This list should give pause to anyone, no matter his or her political beliefs, who cares about the rule of law. ICE has likely violated more court orders in January 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence. The court warns ICE that future noncompliance with court orders may result in future show cause orders requiring the personal appearance of Lyons or other government officials. ICE is not law unto itself. ICE has every right to challenge the orders of this court, but like any litigant, ICE must follow those orders unless and until they are overturned or vacated.
So it sounds like Tom Lyon is not like responding to the court system. That's what it's sounding like. Right.
That's one aspect of like the many things that were brought up in what I just read.
Not really, because that's what I was mainly hearing.
I can reread it then. You maybe didn't
No,
understand.
I mean, summarize
And
it.
he actually didn't say that. Todd Lyons was the one person who was complying. He was saying that we asked for a show cause order, and then with the personal appearance of Todd Lyons, unless Todd Lyons wouldn't have to show up. If they filed a stipulation indicating Juan had been released, then the court would cancel the hearing and would not require Lyons to appear. And then the judge says the parties have now filed such a stipulation, ECF number 9, and thus, as promised, the court will cancel the hearing. But then it goes on to say that does not end the court's concerns, however. Attached to this order is an appendix that identifies 96 court orders that ICE has violated in 74 cases. And then he goes on to say, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you're right or left, this should concern anyone that these orders are being violated so substantially.
Yeah, so
repeatedly.
who's in charge? Who's in charge of ICE organization to like respond and release these people that the court said to release? Like, who's responsible
One
for
second.
this? Because, go for it.
Say it again.
I said, like, who's responsible for not, like, releasing these people that the court system said to release? Like, who's in charge?
It
of
seems
these
here to be
sections?
Todd Lyons in regards to ICE, but if you want to go all the way up the chain of command, it'd probably be Kristi Noem because ICE is a part of DHS. So it
Yeah,
depends
but-
on what the scale is. If, like, for example, ICE has faced prosecution before where Kristi Noem was the stand-in, and here it seems to be Todd Lyons. So I'm guessing it depends on whether it's like a subdivision of ICE or whether it's like a specific jurisdiction
but it
or
just-
whether it's like ICE policy nationally.
So to me, it just seems like you just need to fire and rehire, right? There's no reason to, like, abolish ICE. I don't see a reason for that.
Well, if you fire virtually everyone in a leadership position in ICE, as well as everyone who was hired over the last 4 years once Trump is out of office, you might
Yeah,
as
but
well
we
just
don't know if
abolish
it's
and create a new
everybody.
agency.
But that's what I was saying. Like, we don't know. Like, when I ask who's responsible, we don't know everybody in the leadership of ICE organization.
Okay.
Okay, so we want to fire everybody, every leader in the ICE organization. We would just
Right,
fire,
but
like,
an organization can become so corrupted that it becomes hard to reform it, and you have to just create a new
yeah,
one.
but you would just have to prove that corruption.
I just
right?
did. 96
No.
court orders defied in the month of January alone.
Yeah, and I just say Tom Lyons and Christian Oaks possibly could be responsible for this. And what I would say is just fire and rehire. But, like, the conclusion isn't that, oh, well, ICE is just so corrupt now, therefore we need to abolish. There's no reason for that.
Well, you understand that ICE is literally recruiting people. Like, their hiring is specifically looking for Republicans. Like,
No,
they've
I
made
don't
it
understand.
politicized.
No, I don't understand that. Give me a source on that.
Sure. Trump officials are touting 12,000 new hires in 4 months. Getting them onto U.S. streets may take longer. In the second Trump administration, immigration policy is made with big round numbers. The formula: first, the White House sets an ambitious goal, 1 million deportations a year, 3,000 immigration arrests a day. Then it presses the federal workforce to meet the target. Last year, Trump officials pledged to double staffing at ICE, adding 10,000 new deportation officers by January 2026. Stephen Miller treated the recruitment drive as a priority on par with the deportation push, demanding daily updates on the pace of hiring. And then you can go on here and you can, hold on, there's a paywall in this article. Hold
Can
on.
you just read me the sentence of it
Yeah,
stating
there
that?
was a paywall in that article. I don't want to pay for the Atlantic, so let me find you like a free source on this. In the meantime, while I pull that source up, would you agree that if I do have evidence for this, that ICE is hiring based on politics, that would be wrong and I should be abolished? Assuming that that's true.
Depending on who's responsible for it. Once again, who's hiring who. So I quite don't know who hires who in ICE, right? I don't know if it's Tom Lyons, which I don't think so. I don't know if it's Kristi Noem. I don't think so.
Well,
it's just
why would
depending on
you
the
isolate
situation.
only to the person who's the hiring manager, not the people giving them the orders and the people below on the chain of command?
I wouldn't. Why would you blame people below?
For
just
carrying
following
out
orders.
orders that are like authoritarian or illegal in nature, depending on what the given
Again,
order
they're
is.
just doing their job. So, say for example, if they give the exact opposite order, they're still going to do it. So
Say
I
it
don't
again?
see any corruption. I don't see any corruption on the lower tier, right? On the higher
No,
tier,
that's the issue I'm
they
saying
are-
is that the lower tier, the foot soldiers they're hiring are being hired for political reasons. I'm pulling up a source for you on that. Wouldn't that be cause to violate, or rather to dismantle ICE?
Like I said, you just re-asked me the question. Just depending on the situation, depending on who's responsible for it.
So hold on, I'm not understanding your argument.
So say for example, just random universe, right? You got Tom Lyons stating that he's only hiring Republicans for ICE, and he's going to hire ICE that are Republicans and conservatives. And who
Okay,
voted
I found it here. In 2025 and 2026, you have investigations from the Washington Post and the New Yorker. This was part of ICE's $100 million war chest, which they called wartime recruitment. They went on a crazy recruitment spree, and they had targeted ads to people who are at gun and trade shows, people who are fans of UFC and NASCAR, and people who are fans of patriotic events like rodeos.
Okay.
And they shifted their digital budget towards spaces that lean conservative or MAGA, like
Well, how do
conservative
you know that?
podcasts as well.
Yeah. How do
And you
know
have
that?
also a
What
lot
you're
of
saying?
advertisements from ICE, which
Okay,
echo
go back, go
white
back, go back.
nationalist
Hold on,
slogans.
hold on. Go back. Okay.
Mhm.
Can you just tell me the source so I can read it?
You can just look up $100 million ICE recruitment, Washington Post or New Yorker.
ICE recruitment. You said what after recruitment? Washington report.
Washington Post.
Washington.
The article title is ICE plans $100 million, quote, wartime recruitment, push targeting gun shows, military fans for hires. A strategy document shared amongst immigration officials details plans to use influencers and geo-targeted ads to supercharge their push to hire thousands of deportation officers
Okay,
nationwide.
I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this real quick.
Please.
Just don't kick me from the live. It's
Okay.
gonna take me like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Not even.
I can also pull it up on the stream if you want to read it together. I can do screen share.
Nah, I just prefer to read it myself.
Why not just have the whole audience read it too?
No, I mean you could do that, but I'm gonna read it myself. You can
Okay.
still pull it up on your
Do me a
screen.
favor. I can't switch to screen share if you're in the chat, so hop off and hop back in the guest box. I'll let you on once I switch to screen share.
Okay, so you're gonna bring me back up?
Yeah. Like 2 seconds. I just want to switch to screen share.
All right.
If there's any TikTok people watching here, you need to fix this where I can't do screen share while someone's in the guest box. You can hop back in now to that guy. I just wanted to pull this up. I hope he hops back in. What do you mean? If I have multiple scenes on my TikTok live studio and I can't switch between scenes if there's someone in the guest box. Okay. Wait, what just happened? I accepted his request. Yeah, display capture is a source, but I have different scenes set up.
Yo, I'm going to another source because that source is saying I gotta pay.
Oh, that's why I pulled it up. I pay for the Washington Post. That's why I pulled it up. This is the initial
okay.
source.
Well then, yeah. Okay, I want to read it off you.
Okay, sure. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials are planning to spend $100 million over a one-year period to recruit gun rights supporters and military enthusiasts through online influencers and geo-targeted advertising campaign, part of what the agency called a wartime recruitment strategy it said was critical to hiring thousands of new deportation officers nationwide, according to an internal document reviewed by the Washington Post. The spending would help President Donald Trump's mass deportation agenda dominate media networks and recruitment channels, including through ads targeting people who have attended UFC fights, listened to patriotic podcasts, which what is a patriotic podcast? Sounds like right-wing podcast, or shown an interest in guns and tactical gear, according to a 30-page document distributed amongst officials this summer detailing ICE's surge hiring marketing strategy. The Department of Homeland Security has spoken publicly about its fast-tracked effort to significantly increase ICE's workforce by hiring more than 10,000 new employees, a surge promoted on social media with calls for recruits willing to perform their sacred duty and defend the homeland. Don't know many people who aren't in MAGA who talk about defending the homeland by repelling foreign invaders. The agency currently employs more than 20,000 people, according to ICE's website, but the document reported here for the first time reveals new details about the vast scale of the recruitment effort and its unconventional strategy to flood the market with millions of dollars in spending for Snapchat ads, influencers and live streamers on Rumble, a video platform popular with conservatives. Under the strategy, ICE would also use an ad industry technique known as geofencing to send ads to the phone web browsers and social media feeds of anyone who set foot near military bases, NASCAR races, college campuses, or gun and trade shows.
Can you just pause here?
Sure.
So it sounds like to me that you're upset because Trump and ICE organization is sending ads through race car events, UFCs, and patriotic streamers. Hold
on. When Trump talks about a patriotic podcast, what do you think that refers to?
That's very subjective.
We can have an honest conversation here. You seem like an honest guy. I think you can agree this is very clearly targeted at recruiting conservatives and right-wingers, right?
Not necessarily, because UFC, how is that conservative and Republican?
It's dominated by... I'm a UFC fan as a progressive, but it's by and large dominated by conservatives. I don't know if you dispute
but what
that.
You're telling me
Donald Trump's at every UFC event, and he gets thunderous applause when he walks in.
Yeah, but what you're telling me is, he's he's sending the ads to these places. These places just so happen to be mainly Republican. You know what I'm saying?
And here's the thing. This is only one example of them doing weird loyalty tests for hiring. I have much more egregious examples in other agencies as well.
You're going to have to show me because this is nothing.
No, how is this nothing? This is $100 million recruiting push that is targeting Republican podcasts. What do you mean?
Hold on. If they want to send their ad to liberal or Republican podcasts or what's a podcaster they send it out to? What's an example?
You'd have to ask DHS or ICE.
Okay. So if they want to send it to like
Do you think that these are like apolitical agencies, though? I feel like you have to agree. Like this is very clearly designed a certain way.
No. I
You have to
wouldn't
be
agree with that.
purposefully naive or like blinding yourself to ignore what this is.
Look. You made a claim. I asked you for the evidence. This is not the evidence. You made the
This
claim
is
that they are
evidence.
hiring. Politically, they are only hiring.
This is
Republican
not
and
political
conservative.
hiring to you?
No, number one, this is ads. There's no evidence that they are
Recruitment,
hiring.
right? It's recruitment,
They're ads.
which is part of their recruitment push, which is
I
what the
understand
memo is
it's part
about.
of their recruitment, but that's totally different. Your claim should have been, well, they're giving out ads to Republican podcasters.
They're trying
That's
to
totally-
recruit
that's totally-
right-wingers.
They're trying to
into
recruit
ICE.
really any. Well, it seems like to me they're trying to recruit anybody because
And
it's not only right. Hold on.
Would
it's
you
not only
agree,
right-
just real quick,
Oh,
would you agree
okay.
that if I had evidence of other executive branch agencies implementing loyalty tests, that would influence how we interpret this hiring push by ICE? Because we're like, oh,
What-
we
what
have
do you
other
mean by
cases of them
loyalty
doing
test?
this.
What do you mean by loyalty test?
I can show you. Candidates for top national security positions were asked.
Can you give me a sec? Can
Huh?
you give me a sec? Hold on.
Source?
Hold on, give me a sec.
I have sources.
No, I said give me a sec. Hold
Oh,
on.
yeah.
I'm just lighting a cigarette.
Because, sure, in a vacuum, maybe if you twisted yourself into enough of a pretzel, you could argue, well, it's not meant to target conservatives. It's just targeting NASCAR fans and UFC fans. But then when you look at these other loyalty tests and other agencies, it paints a pretty clear picture that across the executive branch, hiring is being done based on loyalty to Trump. And, for example,
Can I just say,
yeah,
I can
go ahead.
I can even concede that they're trying to throw out ads to Republicans and conservatives.
For recruitment.
Okay.
Yeah.
That in itself is not what you said though.
It is.
That's not the claim you said. No, because what you claim is that they're only hiring Republican and conservatives, and they're pointed to those people. Like they're hiring.
I didn't say only. I'm sure there's a couple liberals in there somewhere, but they're by and large trying to target right-wingers in their recruitment push,
Okay,
which is in line with, again,
the
these examples. These examples should color the way you interpret everything else the Trump administration does. Candidates for top national security positions were asked, quote, was January 6th an inside job, and quote, was the 2020 presidential election stolen? Those who did not say yes were not given the position. Same thing with people applying for
What's the source
generally.
for that?
Source for that, I got you right here.
No, I'm saying like what was okay. I know this is a news article, right? I'm saying what was their source for the news article?
Candidates for top national security positions in the Trump administration have faced questions that appear designed to determine whether they have embraced the president's false claims about the outcome of the 2020 election and its aftermath. According to people familiar with cases of such, so this is a source the Washington Post has in the national security apparatus.
Yeah,
Which
no,
I'm sure
what's
you'd
their
acknowledge, like the
source?
Washington Post probably has extremely good contacts in Washington D.C. for sources.
No, I don't know that because I don't read them. Right. So I'm asking like, what's the source to say? What's their source? Not the news
I just
I'm
told
saying
you.
what's their source saying that? How do they know that these people aren't getting hired because of this question?
Because they have a source
have, like, a
who was
paper- do they
familiar
have-
with the screening.
They have a what?
According to people familiar with cases of such screening.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? How is this not clear?
Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on.
you're
Let me
good,
go
you're
inside. I can barely hear
No,
you.
you're fine. And I'll pull up the other example as well.
Okay. But first, let's
Yeah, we can go. We can go in order. According
Okay.
to people familiar with cases of such screening. So this is going to be a source the Washington Post has that is present for these screenings taking place.
So
Which I'm assuming they're not going to name the source, otherwise the source is going to get fired by the Trump administration. So it's probably an anonymous source.
So it's like whistleblowers, basically.
Not necessarily a whistleblower, but a government source that they have, a source on the inside who's giving evidence to the Washington Post. Yeah.
So how do they? Well, it's people who ask these questions. They was asked these questions. They didn't get the job, so they went to the news.
People who didn't say
organization.
yes to these two questions, which again were, was January 6th an inside job and was the 2020 presidential election stolen? And
Yeah,
for this
so-
one, we have much clearer evidence, which is like publicly available. If you also want to go over this, or you want to first go over the first thing.
Yeah. So my question is, if they ask these questions to these people, how do those people that was asked those questions, how do they know they didn't get the job because they said yes or no?
Well, first of all, even asking that question is a loyalty test, right? In the
Not
first
necessarily.
place, because Trump knows he lost the 2020 election and he knows what happened on January 6th. So if he's asking weird questions like, was
Well,
it an
if you
inside
think-
job?
hold on. January 6th, whether or not it was an insurrection, to me, it's a conspiracy, right? Whether or not
What do you
the
mean it was a
insurrection, whether or
conspiracy?
not, because to me, January 6th was not an insurrection. Like,
I mean, it was an attempted coup on the United States government.
I think some people within like the rally or some of the rioters was like their
No, but
intention was.
Do you know what the
to
purpose was?
overthrow-
Why was it on the date of January 6th? What was special about that date of January 6th?
Because that was the day that Trump didn't become president. A lot of people was mad
That
about it.
was the day
so
that Congress was certifying the
protested.
electoral votes for Joe Biden, and Trump specifically convened that speech on that day because he wanted to try to stop the certification of the vote, which he was indicted for later on because that was illegal to
Wait, did
do.
he-
It was
did
an
he say
attempted
that?
coup of the United States government.
Wait, did Trump say that quote unquote? Did he say those
Say what?
words? Repeat. Say that. Basically, insurrection. Let's go to the White House and let's.
He didn't say insurrection time. He said that he wanted
I
them to
know. I know
not
he
certify
didn't say
Joe
that.
Biden as the winner, which would have been an
Yeah, he
attempted
can,
coup.
No, he can say that. Oh, the what you call it? The presidency was stolen. He can say that. To me,
He doesn't
that's a
believe that,
conspiracy. He doesn't believe. I think Trump do believe.
No. We have plenty of evidence that Trump knows he lost the 2020 election. I was just going over this with the last guest.
Well, if he knew, if he didn't, whatever he believes.
Doesn't it make a big difference if Donald Trump knew he lost? Then all of a sudden, all of this stuff seems a lot more sinister. If
Wait,
he's
at the
hiring
time,
people
okay, so
if
tell
he's
me the
hiring
story.
people for national security positions and asking them questions like who really won the 2020 election, and he knows he
Okay, so-
lost, that
so
is
how do we
kind of
know
scary,
at the
no?
time- Hold on. How do we know at the time before January 6th he knew he lost the election? That it
Because you
wasn't
have
stolen?
Steve Bannon on tape saying that Trump was going to pretend it was stolen all the way before the election took place. In October, we have recordings of this, actually.
We have recordings of a guy saying that Trump
Not
said
just a guy,
something.
someone who was Trump's right-hand man in the White House. And everything he said, Trump ended up doing it. What he said was, I played the recording earlier, that Democrats have a disadvantage in this election because most places will count election day votes before they count mail-in ballots. And what we know is Democrats are more likely to vote by mail-in ballots. So what Trump is going to do is he's going to wait for them to count the election day ballots. It's going to show that he's leading. And before they start counting the blue ballots, he's going to declare victory even if he hasn't actually won. He said this in
Okay,
October.
either way, whether or not he believes it or not, it's still a conspiracy to say that the presidency was stolen. It's still
Well,
a
he tried
conspiracy at the end
to.
of
He
the day.
attempted a coup on the U.S. government.
No.
I mean, this isn't even that controversial. If you look up, what is it, auto coup or self coup on Wikipedia, one of the examples that they've given is literally the January 6th. You can call it insurrection, coup attempt, whatever.
Yeah, but that's them. That's not me. If you wanna talk about whether or not January 6th was insurrection, we can. But whether or not Trump believes
Insurrection
it or
is a
not,
bit
it's
of a
still
nebulous
conspiracy.
term. I call this a self-coup or an auto-coup. It's a coup from the top. It's a form of coup d'etat in which a political leader, having come to power through legal means, stays in office or vastly increases their power illegally through the actions of themselves or their supporters, thus performing a coup on one's own government.
Okay, and I kind of define that as an insurrection.
Okay.
I mean, is that not
Sure.
like, term
The
for
reason I
insurrection?
say coup is because I think it's a more accurate term. I think insurrection could also apply to January 6th. I think it does apply to January 6th. But I've seen a lot of people have
Yeah, but
debates
what
because
you're trying to say
insurrection is like an actual, I think, legal statute. And I don't think Trump was indicted on insurrection charges. That's why I say this was an attempted
Okay,
coup.
so you're
but
saying, well,
but
it's
colloquially
it's a
speaking, it
legal
was an
word.
insurrection, yeah.
Okay, so we can say coup, we can say insurrection, either way. But we're not debating on whether or not it was an insurrection. What I'm
Well,
talking
you said it
about
was a
is whether or
conspiracy,
not-
right? Or am I misrepresenting what you
Yeah,
said?
it's a conspiracy to say that the presidency was stolen, that it was,
Well, he failed, but he
like,
tried to,
illegally over-
right?
Nah, I would just disagree with that because there's
You
no
can't
crime
disagree
to
with
it.
that. He was indicted for this.
It's not. He was indicted.
Yeah, he committed crimes to try to stay in power.
Like what?
By
What did he do,
falsifying
like,
slates of
action-wise?
electors and trying to have us state legislatures or Mike Pence certify them as being the real electors.
Yeah, and did it work? No. And
Right.
that's
So
his
like the
own-
same thing with like attempted murder is still a criminal charge, even if you fail at murdering someone.
It's not the same because
I'm
what
talking
Trump is
about
trying to do.
intending to do a crime and trying to do a crime is
so
still
how's this
criminal,
relevant?
even if
Real
you're
quick,
too.
how-
Can I just finish? Attempting to
Go
do a
for it.
crime and intending to do a crime, just because you fail because you're too incompetent, doesn't mean it wasn't illegal that you attempted a crime, right?
Okay, real quick. How's this? I don't want to go off topic. I
Sure.
would love to talk about this. I'm not trying to like dodge a bullet or anything like
Okay.
that. But how is this relevant to ICE? Because
We were
the
talking
original
about the
conversation
loyalty
isn't
tests
different.
that were being put in place for multiple executive branch agencies, and we were talking about how one of the questions that were asked for top national security positions was, did Trump win the 2020 election? And I was saying to you that even them asking that question says a lot, because if Donald Trump knows he lost the 2020 election, but this is some kind of litmus test that national security people are being given to get promotions, it seems pretty sinister if Trump knows he lost and yet still he's giving people promotions based on them agreeing with this conspiracy theory. And then also I brought up this example if you
Well,
wanted
that's
like
a
a more
whole-
direct
that's-
one for the
Real
OPM.
quick, before we get to that, that's a whole new claim, right? You're saying
No, it's
yeah,
evidence for the same claim.
Okay, but it's a whole new statement.
Sure,
right?
we
You're
can go
saying-
piece by piece in terms of the evidence. So I
Okay,
gave you the ICE hiring memo, and then I gave you the Washington posting for national security positions, and then this is my third piece of evidence, which is the OPM
Okay,
hiring
so let's
policy.
talk about. Okay, so no. I don't want to talk about whether or not he was giving out promotions. If they answer this question of yes or no, right? No, let's talk about it. What's the source on that?
I just
Like, how
told
do
you
we
it's
know
the
they
Washington
was
Post
doing
source that we just read this 2 seconds
Yeah,
ago.
but it's basically a whistleblower. How do they know that they got fired because they said no to this
Not
question?
fired. They did not get the promotion
Not
unless
fired,
they
like-
said yes.
And how do those whistleblowers know that? I call them whistleblowers, but
Sure,
because-
there's a different legal definition for like a whistleblower. There's like a legal
Yeah, I
avenue they
know.
can use to point out like illegal activity. What this whistleblower witnessed, because they were present for the screening, is that the applicants for this promotion, only the ones who answered yes were given the promotion.
And how do we know that?
Because the person was there. They witnessed this happen. They work in the Trump administration in the national security
that's
apparatus.
Not, you're not answering my question because they can work in the Trump administration. They can work in the ICE administration. They can be there during the screening. But what did they see? How do they know that these people that only said yes was hired and got promotion?
Because they saw who got the promotion. They were like, oh yeah, those were the people that said yes to those questions. I don't understand what you're asking me here.
And-
Like
I'm
if they were
asking
there, what do you mean?
no.
How do they know?
Because you simply work in the Trump administration does not give it's not a like 100% reliable source to make the claim that they are
Well,
giving.
I would
promotions to
trust
these
the sources of the Washington Post.
Yeah. Okay. You would trust it.
Yeah,
That's
I
good
think
for you.
most people would trust a source from the Washington Post or the New York Times.
Okay.
Or,
That's good for the majority.
okay.
That's good for the
Do you
majority.
think that
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
lying?
that's-
That the burden
I
of
never
proof is
said
on
that.
you.
I never said they was lying.
Okay, so then
I'm
why are
just
you
asking
calling it
for,
into
like,
question?
I'm asking for a reliable source, not somebody who simply worked in the Trump administration and that gave the whistleblower. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's actually more than one person because it says according to people familiar with cases of such screening. So this sounds like there's multiple people that work in Trump's national security apparatus that have given this evidence to the Washington Post.
and the
And
evidence is just
we didn't even
over.
finish reading this. The questions asked of several current and former officials up for top intelligence agency and law enforcement posts revolved around two events that have become Donald Trump's litmus test to distinguish friend from foe. The result of the 2020 election and the January 6, 2021 assault on the U.S. Capitol, according to people who, like others interviewed for this report, spoke on the condition of anonymity because of the matter's sensitivity. And we know this is true, that Donald Trump does not give people high positions of power if they don't agree with his 2020 conspiracies, because all of his cabinet members, when they were confirmed in the House and Senate, or the Senate rather, and they were asked who won the 2020 election, none of them answered the question because they knew if they said Joe Biden, Trump was not going to appoint them.
Okay.
So what I'm pointing to is a broader pattern of Trump staffing the executive branch, both like lower level foot soldiers and the managers above them, and then the cabinet level secretaries that run the entire agencies. All of these people are being appointed based on their loyalty to Donald Trump rather than following the U.S. Constitution.
We're talking about a different administration. I mean, not
No,
quite
we're talking about the
different.
same
but
Trump
different because
administration.
because we're talking about ICE, right? People are
Well,
getting
hold on.
hired. if they
ICE
say
is under
no
the
to it.
DHS, which is under Kristi Noem, who was appointed by Donald Trump.
That's fine. That's
So
not
it's the
Trump
same administration. What do you mean different administration?
No, it's not. It's a different administration.
No,
right?
this
Just
is
because
all the
Kristi
Trump
Noem-
administration. What do you mean?
Hold on. Just because Kristi Noem is hired under Trump administration, but it's also like in charge of like the ICE administration,
Right.
doesn't mean.
And
that
all
Trump
of
is-
that would be a subsection of the Trump administration.
How?
The
How would that be a
executive branch
suspect?
administrates the law. Donald Trump is the chief executive. Like, what do you? I'm confused. What you're even asking me right now?
I'm asking you because you're trying to equate that Trump administration is also in charge of DSS, which is also in charge of
The
ICE
Trump administration would refer to all the apparatus of the executive branch,
Okay.
like DHS, Department of State, Department of Defense, like the CIA. All this stuff these are part of the Trump administration.
Okay, but asking this question on whether or not January 6th was an insurrection, and what was the other question again?
They didn't ask if it was an insurrection. He asked, "Is it an inside job?" And
What, January 6th?
yeah, the first question was January 6th an inside job? And the second question is, was the 2020 presidential election stolen?
Yeah, and then the source to this
Is
and how
multiple
we know-
national security officials currently working in the Trump administration who are familiar with these screenings.
And can you just what's one of their names?
They spoke on the condition of anonymity because of the matter's sensitivity. Because if they gave their names, they'd probably get fired. You agree, right?
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that, but it's a whistleblower saying that.
It's not a whistleblower, dude.
Okay, how would you define a whistleblower?
There's a proper DOJ like a path you're supposed to follow as a whistleblower if you're calling out some instance of the United States government in some kind of classified setting or off the record setting violating US law or violating the US Constitution. There are certain like whistleblower protections that protect these people, but that exists within the context of like the government. This is a media organization that has a
understand
source within the national security apparatus.
Yeah, but their source is somebody who wants to stay anonymous and giving out claims.
Right, so I just say this is an anonymous source.
Anonymously. Yes, which is, to me, yes, it's not like a government official thing. It's more of a media thing. So it wouldn't really be considered a whistleblower.
What you
but I
want
just
to call it, whether you call it whistleblower or anonymous source, is like a little bit irrelevant to the point that I'm making here, which is that you see a consistent trend across the executive branch of Donald Trump hiring people based on loyalty, because you saw in his first term, whenever Donald Trump tried to do something illegal, like stealing the election, all of the people that worked for him back then, they were not loyalists. So they were like, we are not going to do this. If you ask us to break the law or break the Constitution, we are going to resign. So therefore, in his second term, Trump is now only hiring people, or at least only promoting people, who are going to say yes, sir, even if he gives them illegal orders.
But we're talking about Christine Nance. We're not really talking about Trump, right? We're talking about the DHS.
Yeah,
And we're talking about
we
ICE
talked
and-
about how ICE, you asked me what I think about ICE, is ICE should be abolished, and I explained why it should be abolished is because it is subject to the new
going back.
rot that is hitting our executive branch, which is that people are being hired based on either loyalty to Trump or some kind of political worldview.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't. Once again, I just don't believe that.
Right, but I've
because,
given you so much evidence. I
you have,
didn't even get to my
because you're
third
trying
piece
to-
of evidence for
you're
my
trying-
claim.
Hold on, you're trying to assume that therefore Christian Knowles is in the Trump administration, therefore she's going to have a bias, right? And then she's going to ask these questions, and anybody who answers the question incorrectly.
Do you think
quote unquote
Kristi Noem is
incorrectly.
credible?
I don't see any reason why she's uncredible. I'm not saying she's
Didn't
a
she
reliable
label
source.
Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist before any investigation had
well,
been done?
Well, by definition, he is a domestic terrorist.
How is Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist by definition?
Okay, so I'm gonna search real quick. I'm gonna search up by definition.
Yeah,
what
let's
domestic
look up.
You want to look it up?
Yeah, I'll pull it up for everyone to see.
I appreciate it.
Committing of terrorist acts in the perpetrator's own country against their fellow citizens.
Click terrorist act.
A person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in pursuit of political aims.
And what do you think Alex Petty was doing?
Alex Preddy was not armed. He was not engaging in anything illegal when this happened.
He was on.
He was trying to help
He
a
was
woman.
armed.
He was trying to help a woman stand up who had been shoved to the ground by a CBP
Hold on.
agent.
Number one, he was armed. And while he was armed, he
Rather, he
grabbed
wasn't
onto
brandishing the weapon, is what I
It
meant to say.
doesn't matter. He was still.
No,
he was
the
still
reason I want to clarify that he was armed, but he wasn't brandishing the weapon because Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino said that he was brandishing his weapon.
Okay, we're not talking about that. He
No,
was
we
armed.
literally are. I asked you if Kristi
Yeah,
Noem is credible.
But you don't understand what I'm saying.
I asked
By
you if Kristi
definition,
Noem is
domestic
credible,
terrorist,
and I'm giving
he
you evidence
is-
of her
hold
lying
on.
about Alex Preddy.
Okay, and we're talking about that.
Okay.
Right? And you're trying to say that, oh, Alex Preddy wasn't being violent, right? He wasn't armed. Number one, he was armed. He had a gun on him. He wasn't brandishing it. No.
Okay. And
Right.
he's allowed
But
to have
he
a
was-
gun on him, right?
But he was,
Right?
Yes, you are, but you're
Okay,
not allowed
so
to be. You're
what
not
is
allowed
the
to get into it.
relevance
You
of
stop-
even
stop- you
bringing
gotta
up that
stop
he was
interrupting
armed?
me. You gotta stop interrupting me, right?
Did you stay on
But
the
you're
topic,
not allowed
please?
to get into you're not allowed to get into a physical interaction with the federal officer. That's what he did, right?
You just said he was a domestic terrorist. I've yet to hear any evidence
Yes,
for
a
that.
physical yes, using violence in a political aim, for a political gain, for political aim.
When did he use
is domestic
violence?
terrorist by definition.
When he put up his hand like this to stop the guy who was abusing a woman?
When he grabbed the ICE agent, trying to grab the ICE agent from the woman. That's
tried
when
to
used
help the
violence.
woman
And then
stand
a week
up.
And then a week before, he's
You're
shown to be
lying.
violent.
You're lying.
How? We can play the
A
video. We got into
CBP
physical-
agent, sure we can. A CBP agent pushed a woman to the ground. Alex went to try to help her stand up, and then the CBP agent started spraying pepper spray at them. So Alex Preddy put up his hand like this to block the pepper spray coming from the
Yeah, let's play
CBP
the
agent,
video.
and then he
Let's
was
play the video.
dogpiled by 5 agents who shot him in the back multiple times. And by the way, once his lifeless body was sitting on the pavement, they shot him 5 more times in the head when he was already bleeding out. So tell me, what is
would
the
love to
justification to shoot someone
I'll
in
wait
the
till you're
head
done.
multiple
I'll wait till
times
you're done.
when their lifeless body is face down on the pavement? Answer
Okay,
that
so I'll wait
question
till you're done.
directly
So I'm
without
gonna-
changing
so
the
I'm gonna-
subject,
I'm
because
gonna-
by the
I'm
way,
gonna explain.
you have changed the subject 5 times now. I've been extremely nice to you, but you refuse to
Okay, I'll wait till
engage
you're done,
with
bud.
any evidence I've brought up.
Okay,
Go ahead, the floor is
this
yours.
This is how the story went, right? ICE was getting into an arrangement with the woman. Alex Preddy saw the arrangement, got involved in the arrangement. He got pepper sprayed. He grabbed onto that ICE agent. That's a physical interaction with the federal officer.
You said
You
he's a
don't do
domestic
that.
terrorist.
Yes, and by definition, that's what he was doing. He
Even
was
the
trying to use
Trump
violence.
administration no longer claims this. So you're kind of
Okay,
in
good
not a
for
lot of
them.
company
Good
right
for
now.
them.
They
Good for them.
backtracked on it. You know that, right?
Okay, good for them.
So
I'm not
why would they
backtracking, right? So let's
backtrack
play
from
the
calling him
video.
a domestic terrorist, but
Hold
you
on,
won't?
hold on. You won't listen to me. Let's play the video so I can show you the part where he got into a physical interaction with the federal officer.
Sure, let me find it. Am I allowed to show this on TikTok Live? I'm
Yeah,
asking Chad, I'm asking you.
I'm pretty sure you are.
Because there are gunshots in the video.
Yeah, the gunshots is not like.
I guess I can
You literally
pause
go
it
on TikTok.
before we get to that part. Let me check my bookmarks. And you understand that to call someone a domestic terrorist, you also have to have intent of terrorism. So where are you getting
And what do
that
you
from?
think? And once again, terrorism is what? Violence for political ideas.
Right. So if it's for political ideas, you have to prove that he intended to be a terrorist. Now
Well,
you're
Antifa-
making
hold
2
on.
claims, which is that number 1, he was violent, and that number 2, he was violent because he was a
Okay,
domestic
okay.
terrorist. So right
Okay,
now I'm
so
pulling
let's-
up the
let's take a
video
step.
to see whether or not he
Okay.
was violent. But then even if we establish that, which he wasn't, you'd have to also prove intent.
Okay.
So what's the intent while I look for the video?
No. Step by step, because if
It's the
I don't
same
wanna
step.
go,
Domestic
I-
terrorism
I
is
don't wanna
violence in
change-
pursuit
I don't
of an
wanna
intent.
change the topic. No. First
Same
step,
topic.
I'm gonna explain. Okay. First step, I'm gonna explain how he was violent, and then once we're done with that, once we conclude it, then we can talk about whether or not his intention was.
Well, not whether or not. You're claiming that his intention was terrorism, right?
His intention was violence for political.
You said his
Political
intention was
idea.
terrorism. Don't
Yeah,
change the
Antifa.
wording
What
on
do you
that
think
now.
Antifa is? What do you think Antifa is?
What day was Alex Preddy killed on? Is it February something? I know I have it in my bookmarks. Does anyone in chat know what the day was?
I thought it was like the 12th.
I feel like it was early February or late January.
Nah, it was January the 12th, I
It
thought.
was January.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Hold on. Okay, I found a video that takes place when she's already on the ground. Let me find one that starts from the beginning of the interaction.
Yeah. I could just show like a screenshot of the physical.
I'd like to
engagement.
play the video because you completely misrepresented and lied about it. So I think it's important to go over that.
Well, I mean, I don't think so, so I'm just going to show a screenshot too.
Sure, you can show a screenshot and I'll play the actual video in full.
Yo, my phone's at 1%, so if I leave it live, it's not on me.
That's interesting timing for your phone to be at 1%.
Yeah, I just didn't
Yeah.
know it was on 1%. That's just what happens when you have like a phone. I don't know.
Yeah. Charger, not a thing, or
No, I have a charger right here.
cool.
I don't think I have time to get a charger.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave the live. Bring me back up because for some reason I could barely hear anything.
Okay. Bro, why is it so hard to find a video of this? Like the original angle from the woman in the pink hat or whatever it was. Does anyone know where I can find this? Hold on, let's check. Okay, you plug in your phone?
Huh? It's been plugged in. I just couldn't hear.
Can you hear now?
Yeah, I just had to leave.
Did you already find the video? Because I could be looking for you.
I'm pulling it up on
Oh, okay.
I think the New York Times posted the full video. Let me see.
I just have a super quick question for the guest.
Yeah,
I'm curious as to why you're so hesitant to label January 6th as an insurrection, but instantly like jump the gun and agree with the administration's position when they decide to ascribe malicious intent and completely make up reality with regards to Alex Preddy.
Because Alex Preddy was shown before this even happened to be a violent person. While
Well, you recognize
I'm breaking a headlight of a
video's
federal
playing, sir. Video's playing.
So hold on, let's just go point by point in this video. We can actually scroll through here.
That's not the front end. That's not the like.
So here you see a
front end.
CBP officer pushing this woman to the ground. I don't know why the fuck that was necessary at all.
I don't know why that was necessary.
Then you see
either.
Alex Preddy putting his hands up saying, hey, can we calm down? Can we not shove people? Putting his hand up, turning away, facing away from the officer who's now trying to pepper spray him for some fucking reason when he's trying to defend this woman. He's still not facing anyone. I don't hear him saying I'm a terrorist or anything. He's holding the woman who was shoved to the ground, trying to help her stand up because she keeps slipping on ice. And what happens next? He's grabbed by these officers and he's dogpiled. So where there was the domestic terrorism?
Yeah, replay the video. Like, just play the video without like.
I'm so curious to see what he's on.
Tell me when to pause for the domestic terrorism.
Yeah, replay the video once again.
Okay, just tell me when to pause. When the domestic terrorism is
I
on
got
screen,
you.
when it's in the room with us, tell me to
Zoom
pause
in,
so I can
are you
pause it
able to
there.
zoom
Okay?
in? God, the first 5 seconds, it looks like him. It looks like.
Wow. Holy crap. I think the officer couldn't even stand up.
Yeah, this is
Like,
scary
the-
stuff, bro.
he-
Bin Laden
he
is
sent
turning
the
over in his
officer-
grave saying, how does this guy outdo me so well?
He sent the officer flying into one of the local businesses. Like, Jesus Christ.
Nah, I never said that. What I was like referring to is him.
You're saying he's a domestic terrorist. That's a really big
No,
deal.
you slandered a man who was murdered by his own government in cold blood. So don't backtrack now. Where's the domestic terrorism?
So real quick, I don't think it was justified. Obviously, those are.
No, shut the fuck up. You said he's a domestic
What?
terrorist.
No.
You said
I
he's a
don't think it was
domestic
justified,
terrorist.
but we're gonna call
Don't
it
backtrack.
terrorist.
Yeah,
Don't
because
backtrack. Stand
No,
on what
I'm
you
not
said.
backtracking. I'm still standing on the
Stand on
claim.
what
Him
you
being-
said.
Him being Antifa. him
If
being
he was a
violent,
domestic
being
terrorist,
violent-
if he hold on, no. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish and I'll let you talk.
Okay,
Let me finish and I'll let you talk. If, as you claimed, he was committing a domestic terror act, then neutralizing him with a gun would have been justified. So you implied by saying he was a domestic terrorist that it was justified to hurt him in this way. You can't both say this was an act of domestic terrorism, but also they shouldn't have stopped him with a gun. You can't. Those are contradictory beliefs.
Not necessarily, because.
Not necessarily, bro. He said that like about 50
times.
times in this
Wait,
conversation.
who's this guy? Who's this dick sucker that just come up?
Hey, slow down, buddy.
The only dick
slow
sucking I've
down.
seen here is
Okay,
you sucking the dick of the
so if I
entire
can
Trump
talk,
administration.
if I-
Kristi
hey,
Noem, Donald
if I-
Trump,
if
Pam
I can
Bondi,
talk,
Cash Patel.
I guess I can't talk. You say you're gonna let me talk. Can't
Please,
talk.
go ahead.
Do you
Complex
think
already.
breaking a part of a car vehicle, a federal officer vehicle?
Wow.
Do you think that is an act of terrorism
No.
by definition? Okay,
No.
so what would you define terrorism?
How old
Yo,
are you,
hello?
Noah? And are you MAGA?
Oh, 2v2 alert?
Hello.
Okay, you're.
Oh, well, hold
fucking
on. Lock
3
in.
years old,
That's a
bro.
child, man.
Why?
2v2.
I was trying to get you back up because you've backed
Yeah.
yourself into a
No,
corner
I
here.
don't.
You really need some help, man.
You didn't answer my question. What do you think breaking a federal officer's vehicle is?
Stop changing the subject to what
What do you-
happened
no,
a
no,
week
no,
before
I brought
this.
this up too. This
You
was
said
another
that
reason.
here he committed domestic terrorism.
Yeah, to me,
Where?
it looked at the time when I was watching
Where?
the video that he grabbed.
Tell me
No,
the timestamp. I'll play the video. When you
Okay.
see the domestic terrorism on the screen, say, hey, pause it, and I'll pause it, and you can
Okay.
point out to us the domestic terrorism. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, now that I've rewatched the video, I don't see him grabbing the ICE agent. To me,
Wow.
it looked as if he grabbed the ICE agent right then.
How
and there,
incredibly
right there, that
responsible of you.
pause. So if you go back 5 seconds, 5 seconds, yeah.
He's
yeah,
grabbing.
5
Oh, he's
seconds,
grabbing the ICE officer.
Yeah, 5 seconds.
Oh,
go
no.
Back 5 seconds. Go back
This,
5
do you know how you grab someone by
has
saying
hands in the
this?
air.
Then he just does
Look
it.
how tightly
Okay.
he's grabbing this ICE officer,
So are
everyone.
you able to? So are you able to?
His
answer my
knuckles are
question?
white from how tight he's grabbing onto him.
Are you able to answer my question now? What do you think breaking a federal officer's vehicle? Do you
By
think
the
that-
way, like I said to everyone,
definition?
I'm wrapping up the live at like 4:20, 4:30. I'll keep
You're
it
not
going for
answering
2
my
more
question.
minutes because I have to drop my sister off at work, but we'll let this
You're
guy
not
get his
answering
closing
my
statement
question.
in.
Yeah. Can you answer my question? What do you think breaking a federal officer's vehicle is?
I'll
you think
answer
that's
your
an act of
question.
terrorism?
I'll answer your question.
Oh,
Like you said
okay.
earlier, chronological order, right? So if we're going in chronological order, what
No,
you
I
said
can see
before
the fact
this,
that he did not
what
grab-
you
I
said
can see
before
the fact- I
this
can see
is
the
that
fact- I can
Christy
see-
Nome is credible in calling Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist in light of this specific act
No,
taking
he's
place.
still a no, hold on. He still did a terrorist act. A week before he even got unalive.
She said that he was a domestic terrorist in this situation.
She
Yes.
said that he's a domestic terrorist, period. She did not say specifically in
Don't
this
flip
situation.
flop on your own argument now, dude.
Okay, so go ahead. Do you want to play the video of Christy Nome?
I'm going to tell you again, and everyone watching on YouTube, this is the
You're
glory
not
of watching on
answering my
YouTube.
question.
The glory of watching on YouTube is when someone contradicts themselves, you can just rewind 15, 20 seconds ago, 3 minutes ago, and you can see me asking him, how is Christy Nome credible when before there was any investigation into the killing of Alex Preddy, she was saying that he was committing an act of domestic terrorism in that situation. And you said, oh, he was. Now you're changing to a
He
different,
labeled-
you're
so he
changing to a
labeled him,
different
quote, unquote.
circumstance,
Yeah,
which
I guess
at
I
the
can't
time
talk.
that this took place, we were not even aware of.
Okay, so she labeled him as domestic terrorist.
In
She wasn't
regards
saying,
to what
in this
incident?
video- In just regards at all. She
No,
saw the
regards at all. What the
week
fuck does that
before-
even mean?
So let me finish.
She knew,
so
bud,
she
she
saw.
knew.
So she saw. I guess I can't talk. So she saw a week before.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
I don't know
interrupt
if
you.
you've seen the video a week
Sorry,
before.
go ahead. Can you start over? We're going to give you the floor now. Say your piece.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. So a week before this.
I felt really. Oh.
I kicked him.
I was
I
gonna
kicked
interrupt
him.
him again.
Bad faith.
He said
You don't just call someone a domestic terrorist and say, oh, actually, maybe he wasn't. No, you're gone. You're
Fuck
gone.
no, dude. The fact that he said that J6 was not an insurrection, but then decides to say that kicking the taillight of a
Yeah, it's
officer's
worse than
vehicle
9/11
is an
guy.
act of domestic terrorism. That's like vandalism, bro. That's it. That's the max you're getting. This guy said domestic terrorism. Alex Preddy kicked that taillight out in order to strike fear into MAGA.
Oh
and
my
Trump.
God.
Yeah.
He sent shockwaves across the country. Every DHS agent started trembling when they felt that car was kicked.
Exactly. All the civilians around them, they just perished immediately when they saw
I
that.
wish the Capitol Police on January 6th used the same standards
Yes.
that MAGA uses to defend ICE.
Yes.
What a beautiful sight that would have been in a video game.
How dare you say that?
Can't
they're
pardon
just
someone
being
who's
there.
no longer with us, just saying.
R.I.P. Ashley. Miss you already,
Yeah,
Queen.
rest in piss. Okay.
Are you ever gonna want to try out the Zoom thing?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go live again. I just have to go drop my
Okay.
sister off at work real quick, but I'll be back in maybe an hour or two. And then, I'll send you a Zoom link. So I guess I can announce now. So tomorrow for the State of the Union live, I'm going live at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to be live the entire day until the State of the Union is over. We have Mr. Okra here, as well as some other radical libs that are going to be hopping on to the live to do live commentary so that we all don't kirk ourselves during the speech. And before that, I'm going to be having on two guests. I'm having on, what are their names? I know their names. I'm having on both
You need the soundboard. for this one.
Lindsay Owens. She is a economist. She had worked for Elizabeth Warren. She helped write Medicare for All in the House. Super based progressive economist Lindsay Owens is going to be hopping on at like 4, and then we have U.S. Representative Susie Lee, who's going to be hopping off as well. Let's go. And we're going to be talking about the ACA and how to make life more affordable for Americans. It's going to be a good conversation.
Holy shit.
Let's
Everyone
fucking
tune
go.
in.
Yeah.
Send $1 million
Billion.
to this guy right here. And if you want to slide me $1, that'd be that'd be great. You know?
In fact,
I heard
don't
Adam-
slide me
Adam
$1
loves
if he's
charity.
not getting a cut. I don't even want it at that point.
Wow, that's so real, bro. That's so real. Once you play a UFC game, you're brothers for life, basically. That's
True.
what it is, man.
True.
That's what it is. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Well, I'm planning on going live, so I don't know if you want to hop in. That's
yeah,
what we're gonna do
when
right
are you
now.
planning on going live?
Soon. I just need to do some quick consumption really quick to the tune of $7 trillion. And then
Consumption?
yeah, we're looking at Uniqlo, maybe hop
Illicit
on Best
substances
Buy.
or?
No, that already happened in the morning.
Okay. Okay, it's good to know.
No, I was struggling. I don't do any of that stuff, guys. We're just
Yeah,
currently
in
off
GTA.
of totally acceptable and prescribed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Amen.
And I just want to say for all the TikTok auto moderators who love giving me strikes for no reason that I would never encourage any lawlessness, any bad
Amen.
behavior, any bullying, or any misinformation. I live my life, even off camera, by the TikTok community guidelines. I never violate them ever.
Wow.
So
How honorable.
thanks.
A lot of people are saying that that's the most honorable thing they've ever heard. And they've heard a lot
I
of
have
honorable
heard that
things.
many people are saying this.
Yeah, I have a source, a very, very credible source. They
Yeah.
said, wow, they were in shock. They started crying. It was so honorable.
As soon as I started complying with the TikTok community guidelines, we saw a 7,000% decrease in violations of guidelines. So
Jesus Christ. Before
they did say, sir.
Before you even did, just the presence or the idea of you complying, just
That's
wow,
why they
it's-
accepted my appeal so quickly. 2 strikes in 2 days, and they accepted my appeal within 10 minutes because they know
Wow.
they get it. Me
Amen.
and TikTok auto moderators are like this. We're like this.
I'm gonna go get that fucking soundboard right now, bro. I need
You
to lock
actually
in.
should. I need to get one as well. There's so much good stuff you can use for that shit.
But I heard that. Well, maybe it's just the ease of having the physical thing. You just tap the button and you hear the sound. But people just it's like this thing called voice mod.
Is it like
Uh,
something you
Mirror
download
mentioned
on your
it's voice
computer?
mod. Yeah. So I don't even know if it's like you need to get the
Yeah,
soundboard.
there are paid virtual ones, but something about the dopamine hit of pressing a button,
Right.
hearing Trump moaning in my
I'm
ear
fucking
pods. That's
saying.
crazy. What the
I'm
fuck?
saying. It's not that crazy. I get it.
Yeah.
I get the appeal. I'm just
Yeah,
joking.
yeah,
No one got that. Hold on. Let me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just you download this voice mod shit and then you put the inputs into the buttons or whatever.
Yeah, something
That
like
would look
that.
fire on my desk though. I'm definitely buying that shit, guys. I'm gonna spend $200, guys. Wish me luck. Let's fucking go,
That-
dude.
Is you gonna
Let's
get
go.
Elgato again?
Maybe. I don't fucking know. What are the options?
Is that the capture card you got too? Is that Elgato?
Yeah, but I got like a really shitty cheap. Well, not really shitty. It was like $100 but
I was looking yesterday. I saw one for like $15 at Walmart. I don't know if that shit's gonna work, but go grab that shit.
I got the Neo. Maybe there's sales because I saw it was on sale, but I just want to go pick it up already, so I don't give a fuck. Damn, the Stream Deck, 250.
Yikes.
Jesus
The
Christ.
virtual one might be the move.
Yeah,
You can
I'm
do like
fuck that.
hotkey placement for it.
Yeah, I'm not doing all that.
All right, LeBron, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Everyone, stay peaceful, stay patriotic. Make sure you're following Attorney General Okra if you're not already.
Amen.
And yeah, we gotta run our Zoom experiment later on to make sure that our special guests tomorrow are able to be heard by the masses.
Yes, sir.
So I'll
We will
chip
be
about
here.
that.
We'll be
We will.
here.
We'll
I
be
might go
peaceful.
live in
We'll
5
be
minutes.
patriotic.
I'll be ready.
All right.
All right, peace out, y'all.
All right, liberal. Everyone stand back and stand by for, I'll go live again at some point today, maybe. Follow me, follow the Attorney General Okra, and tune in tomorrow. We're going live the whole day. Not really, but like most of the day. 2 p.m. to probably like 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m. So we're going to have U.S. Representative, economist who worked with Elizabeth Warren, Pramila Jayapal on things like Medicare for All, and good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, everyone, take care. Okay, and that's it for the YouTube, or rather for the TikTok live. The YouTube people, you get to bask in the glory of the live for like 30 more seconds while I figure out how to end it on this end. Okay, to the YouTube people, stay peaceful, stay patriotic, stand back and stand by. I'll be back at some point again soon. probably.